So I'd like to declare our December council meeting open, and I'd like to ask Julie Virtue to say a prayer for us. Thank you, Julie.
Before I pray, I want to personally thank the council for the last few months. I don't know how you do it. I've got one property I have to manage, so I really honestly don't know how you guys cope, but it's a magnificent job.
Thanks, Julie.
And I'm just so proud to be part of this community. So thank you.
Thanks, Jules.
Thank you, Stephen.
Father, we just want to thank you that this is the end of a long, hard year. And Father, we know that as we come into Christmas, for many, it's still going to be long and hard. And so, Father, I just ask for each of those communities and the individuals that have suffered from one disaster or another in the flood, that they are reminded that they're not alone. They're reminded that they are supported not just by a loving community and a loving state community and a council, but also you. And so, Father, we just thank you that we can celebrate your Jesus' birth, which is the accumulation that comes from your birth is that you are also our Saviour. Father, I just want to thank you for the Mayor, Phyllis, and I want to thank you for the councillors for their hard work, their diligence, their wisdom, their continuous dedication to serve this community this year. And so, Father, I just pray a blessing on each and every one of them for a rest well earned. That we just ask that during this time where they are able to celebrate with their family and with their friends, that they are blessed and there is peace and harmony amongst all of that celebration. Father, for this meeting, I pray for your direction, for your wisdom. I ask, Father, for a unity of community of minds. And so, Father, we just want to thank you for your provision, for this council, for this community. And we just ask right now, Lord, we want to thank you for your grace and for the cross. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Right.
Thanks very much, Julie.
I'm going to Sydney.
Well, travel safe.
Thank you.
Bye, Julie.
Bye.
See that?
I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wiradjuri people, and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and those that will come in the future. And as I always like to remind you, we have the privilege and honour of sharing the land with the longest continuous living culture in the world. So for that we say thank you. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Would someone like to confirm those minutes? It's been moved by Councillor Matisky, seconded?
Yep.
Seconded by Councillor Herbert. Any opposition?
Can I just add to the minutes regarding the tree committee that haven't been updated in these minutes? Can I do that now or should I do it later?
If there's an adjustment for the minutes, tell us what it is, Councillor Willis. You've got the minutes there, do you not?
So just item 74, Tree Committee 10 Batty Street. Basically, it's just the way it's written, like council has agreed to prune the overhanging trees but not to remove the tree, works to be scheduled. There was no recommendation to remove the tree by the arborist,
What's your change?
council, well, basically that there was no recommendation to the council to remove the tree, and the council horticulturist can just trim as indicated. And in 75, Gordon Duff Drive, it says here council declined the removal of this tree but agreed to prune dead wood. There was no recommendation in item 75 to actually remove the tree at the rugby club. There was just a suggestion to perhaps remove some of the dead wood. So could the recommendation be that the tree was reported to be in good health? There was no recommendation for the removal by the arborist, and the council horticulturist to prune the tree as indicated.
Could I ask a query? Madam, I may have missed it when I stood up to let the prayer lady go out the door, but have we done an acknowledgement?
Yes.
We've done that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Acknowledgement of country.
Yeah, I must have missed it when I
Let Julia.
Yeah, I've done it.
out the door, so thank you.
Now, Councillor Willis.
And then in 77, it's still not reflected in the minutes that the dead Aleppo pine. Oh, yes, it is, sorry. And the dead Aleppo pine, that has been changed from last council meeting. So that was just that.
Okay, now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll let you sort that out. If you have a change to minutes, this is not the forum to try and read things out for the other councillors to understand what's happening with the minutes or your interpretation of those minutes. Normally you will have attended your meetings, you will know what the minutes are. Could you please go to Janelle and flag that you are going to make a change prior to coming into the chamber so that all of the councillors can know what those changes are instead of doing them on the run. That would be appreciated.
Thank you.
So with those changes, it's been moved and seconded. I'll put it, all those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Condolences to people that have died in our shire over the last month. Ross Martin, Margaret Leona Freeney, Eunice Helen Pembroke, Betty Althea Green, and of course our very own former Mayor of Wedden Shire Council, Morris Simpson. Would you please stand for a moment of silence for those people? Thank you, councillors.
I move a letter of condolence be sent to the
Second.
families.
Been moved by Councillor Roylance, is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Willis that we write a letter of condolence to those families. If there is no opposition, I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Okay, now we get to the exciting part. We've got James, the Director of External Engagement, and Dr. Damien Limberger from Charles Sturt University. And this is in relation to rural medical education. And we're very excited to have you, James and Damien. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, councillors, CEO, staff and members of the public.
Oh, I must say, you are getting live streamed, so hopefully you're okay with that. I should have told everybody that. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I also begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and lands on which we meet today, the Rotary land, and also acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Look, as my introduction, James McKechnie from Charles Sturt University in Dubbo. I do the Director of External Engagement role. We talk to Phyllis regularly about things that happen in the Dubbo region and also further afield, hence why we're here today. Basically today, we'd like to thank you for your time to have us to come to talk to you, especially at a time in your town and region still recovering from your recent disaster. CSU Orange played a small role in delivering some accommodation relief for the residents of Eugowra and the surrounding area, but we understand, that's a small part of what you've had to do in the Forbes community, and you've had to rally primarily to resolve the crisis experience. So our thoughts are with you very much, and I hope that practical thing we did in Orange that reflects that we're part of this region as well. Which brings us into the fact of we always use the phrase Yindyamara Winhangana, which is an Indigenous term. What it basically translates to is it's basically making the best of the world you can live in and share that around as you go. So I think that's a replication of what you've done recently. My role today is really simple. It's basically to acknowledge your welcome to us and to also introduce you to Damien Limburger. Damien is Associate Dean and Professor in Medicine at the School of Rural Medicine in Orange. He's going to do a presentation, and what it's about is the CSU School of Rural Medicine and the vision behind it and the operational impact in the regions, including Forbes. So over to Damien.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Mayor, councillors. Thanks for the opportunity for me to come and speak to you about the CSU program. So as James says, I'm the Deputy Dean for the CSU Medical School. That's one of my hats. I wear many hats. I'm also a GP obstetrician and clinical director here in the Lachlan Health Service. So I apologise for my tardiness in getting here. I've got a busy clinic that I'm filling in for other people who are on leave. So that's rural health for you.
Yeah.
But we're very excited about the program that CSU's running. We've just come to the end of our second year of the program. But our vision is, as it's up on the screen there, we see a world where all rural communities have enough doctors to meet the health needs of that community. And although we're a small program and we probably can't fix this problem Australia-wide, we think that the model that we're developing is scalable and will have an impact in rural health. What I talk about in terms of training medical students, I have to say from the beginning, it's a long road. You know, our course is 5 years, and then they take another at least 5 to 10 years to specialise after that. So our outcomes, we're looking 10 to 15 years down the track. I might move to the next slide. So we aim to take rural students into our program. Now, there's lots of evidence to support that taking students of rural origin is important. And saying that, that's what most of the medical schools have done for the last 20 years that run rural programs. So I was previously with University of New South Wales with their rural program, and I was one of the first students to come into their rural program right back at the beginning. They set it up in Wagga and Albury, and I was one of 6 students out of 220 students that were rural. And back then they said there's no way you could train students in Wagga. Now, I'm from Wagga, so I took offence to that. Now, the Wagga Clinical School takes 50 to 60 students, and they do it from beginning to end. They do the full 6 years in Wagga. So things have changed a lot in the last 20 years. But when I look at the graduates that we were producing through UNSW, and they're probably the leader in rural health, rural medical education in New South Wales in terms of numbers, the retention rate's still less desirable than we'd like. And the students that do stay rurally, they tend to congregate in the regional base centres. So Waggas, the Alburys, the Oranges, the bigger centres do well. And the reason for that is that we train these students in the base hospitals. And to work in a district hospital is a completely different experience. And if you put a doctor that's been trained in a rural base hospital, or let alone Sydney, into Forbes Hospital or Parkes Hospital, they struggle because it's an unfamiliar environment. So we're taking the approach, you know, we believe, despite what other programs might suggest, that we can train students in district hospitals, base them there, and then second them to the larger centres. Because the district hospitals can't do everything. There's some surgeries they can't do, cardiology they can't do, but you can second for those bits. But general medicine, general surgery, general obstetrics, emergency medicine, it's done very well in district hospitals. And the patients that present at district hospitals are very sick. People in rural communities don't want to come and annoy the hospital. They know how busy they are. And they tend to sit and stay at home longer. And so they present sicker. So the students will get a great experience. You know, and I work in district hospitals. I know what the clinical presentations are like. So I know the opportunity is there. I might move on. So we want to take rural students. So we do have a target. We aim to take 80% rural students into the program. 2 years running, we've had 100% rural students and a big demand. So in the first year of the program, we had 830 applicants for 37 jobs. Last year, we had 930 applicants. and this year it's slightly less, about 850, but still very good for the limited number of positions we have. We aim to then embed the students into a rural community for as long as possible. So most metro universities, where they train doctors, second doctors to a rural site for 4 to 5 weeks. Cool, it's nice. They have a bit of a holiday. They never come back. A lot of the other programs will embed them for a year or 2 years. We intend to embed them for all their clinical placements from year 1 to year 5. So in year 1 and 2, it's a short, and I'll show you the program a little bit later. It's a short visit, but years 3, 4 and 5, they live in that smaller centre, and then we second them to where else we need to top up their training. We think that even if you are of rural origin and you have the best intentions to stay rurally, because of the age and the duration of the training program, most rural graduates, when they're trying to get towards the end of the medical degree, they're at that family forming stage of life. And that's where you can lose them. If they're in Sydney towards the end of their program, they meet their partner, they buy their first house, they don't come back. I understand that. So we want them to, and I'm conscious we're being streamed, but we'd like to marry them locally. And because we think it's more the social connection that also is really important as well. And that's the purpose of me going around talking to councils, because this is what the councils and the communities can do. Is the way we embed the students. So hopefully they're from your community to begin with, number one.
Doctor
But
wants a wife.
Hey?
Doctor wants a wife.
Look, we're into anything that works. So we're very committed about our approach. We know the reasons why something has to change. We know the rural medical workforce shortage is getting worse. In general practice in particular, no one wants to do general practice at the moment. It's very unpalatable. And we know that's the backbone of rural healthcare is general practice. So our program does have a big focus on general practice, but we're here to produce rural generalists. So they're doctors that can work in the hospital. They can specialise as maybe general physicians, general surgeons, or be rural generalist GPs that have other skills like obstetrics, anaesthetics, surgery, whatever that might be. Thank you. We know a little bit about the data that the total clinical FTE of health professionals per 100,000 people in a community decreases by remoteness. I'll show you our footprint in a minute, but we intend to engage with as many small and remote communities as well. It's not just the bigger centres. So I've talked about rural generalism. So that's the approach where we want our graduates to come out with a skill set that is broad. So that they can work in a district hospital where if you're an ED, you have to deal with a medical problem, a surgical problem, obstetric problem in that first instance. We want that breadth of skill. Rural generalism is a bit of it's a trendy phrase at the moment, and a lot of people just refer to it in the general practice space, but I want to broaden the definition that primary care is important, general practice, but rural generalism in the specialties is equally important. We need more rural generalist surgeons, generalist physicians. We don't want this. There isn't the room for the super subspecialised people. There's not the activity, the workload isn't there, and they do congregate in the bigger centres. But to be a rural generalist, we would like, if they're a GP, to have the primary care background, hospital care experience, ED skills, advanced skills in obstetrics, anaesthetics, for example, and they have a holistic approach to the population. You know, what is it about that community? What's their individual health needs that need to be met? Because the doctors have quite a lot of influence in terms of planning around health services. So having that local connection, local understanding of population need is really important. So the longer we embed this student in the community, I think the better the outcome for that health in that community. Thank you. So we've adopted a couple of key principles. So we want early exposure to rural remote clinical placements. We want early exposure to general practice. So most programs, the general practice might be 4 to 6 weeks of the entire medical degree. It's very small, considering 90% of healthcare occurs outside of the hospital setting. But most programs are based in acute hospitals. We want longitudinal general practice placements, and that's a well-established model that especially Wollongong has embarked upon. But we think the longer they spend in general practice, the stronger the connection they have with the GP and the practice staff, hopefully they get a job offer at the end of the day. So we think that we want the students to keep visiting the practice again and again and again, the same practice over 5 years. They keep coming back. So they just slot back in every year. Each year they know a little bit more. They can contribute more to that practice and to the care of those patients. And they can follow up their patients they've seen over the years and get to grow with them. The longitudinal connection, longitudinal connection to the rural community I've talked about already. We think it's really important to embed them for as long as possible and stop the movement that happens in medical training. Most doctors during their training period move constantly. From being a medical student to being a junior doctor to being a registrar, that's a trainee in a specialty. We keep shifting them around. We want to stop that. We want to align the postgraduate training pathways. So we can graduate them, but we need to then graduate them into training pathways to get them specialised. So we at CSU, we also want to work in the postgrad space as well. And we want alignment with community health needs. We have a social obligation to all the communities that we connect with, and we think that the university can bring in support, we can bring in jobs, we can bring in future doctors, we can bring in research that supports the health needs of the community. Because to change rural health, you need evidence to back all the things that we talk about. We're not very good at researching in the rural space because we're so busy, but we can bring that research expertise as well. Thanks, Tim. So a little bit about the program. So the way medical schools start, so medicine, it's a very political program. It's the only degree where the government sets the quota on graduate numbers. All right. So to set up a new medical school, you either increase your quota, the government increases the quota, or you take quota off someone else. And that was the original proposal, that all the other universities were going to give up a couple of places for CSU, which caused a lot of unrest and unhappiness, as you could imagine. But at the end of the day, the government did allocate the extra 37 places to CSU, which is great. We need more graduates.
Can I ask why the quota when there's such calling out there for doctors that they actually put a quota on something that's important?
It's hard to believe, but doctors in metro locations are underemployed.
Yeah, they are.
And here we're overemployed. So there's strong lobby groups in medicine, and they're quite vocal. On the rural side, we're too busy. We're pretty quiet politically, but that's the reason. Yeah, it's that. So the other requirements. So we're governed by the Australian Medical Council around standards. So we have to produce a graduate to a certain standard to work in the Australian health system. And to get started, you've got to buddy up with another university, and that's a safety mechanism because if we can't deliver enough placements to graduate our students, and because the quota's there and we have to produce a certain number and the workforce expects a certain number to come in each year, our partner University of Western Sydney will pick up the pieces and carry on the program for us. And that's come out of past experiences where other universities have run into trouble. So we partner with Western Sydney University. We're two universities, two separate organisations. We take our own students. Our students belong to us. Their students belong to them. And we've bought their curriculum, which originally came out of Melbourne University curriculum. So it's a well-tested curriculum. We deliver it with a rural focus, and they deliver it with a focus on Western Sydney, which has its own disadvantaged populations as well. So originally the CSU model was going to be ran entirely out of Orange, which just wasn't possible and didn't fit in with our thinking. So myself and the Dean have both come from UNSW Medicine, and we knew what was needed was a broader footprint. Even though we're quite small, we need to spread as wide as we can. So we've set up 9 clinical schools. They're there on their map. So the Central West includes Forbes, Parkes, Grenfell, Cowra, and there's many other sites we can bring in over time, is its own clinical school. So students in year 1, when they join our program, will be asked, which clinical school do you want to go to? and that might be your school of origin, your community of origin, or community of your partner's origin, or somewhere that you just fancy. And you get nominated to that campus for the full 5 years. So we start them off in Orange, where we've got all the labs. You've got to do all your sciences in the first 2 years. We do that in Orange. But all placements, they go back to their clinical school. Orange is its own clinical school because that's our metro equivalent. That's the headquarters. That sits on its own. But all the other clinical schools, they run individually. We provide the curriculum, we provide the program, but they're all run by their own local doctors and they've got their own staffing. So each campus, the timetable is different. They all have to meet the same objectives, but the way they do it is different. And that's just how it works. It has to work in rural. Thanks, Jen. So it's really small. I don't expect you to read it, but it's a 5-year program. The first 2 years in the light orange is the preclinical years, so they're doing their sciences. You'll see right in the middle of the year there's 2 golden boxes. That's the rural generous placement. So once a student decides, yeah, sure, I want to go to the Central West Clinical School, we send them out for 2 weeks in the middle of year 1, to a week in general practice, a week in the hospital, and we make sure the fit is right for the student and for the clinical school. Year 2, they go back again for another visit. They're just establishing themselves. And then from year 3 onwards, they're based in those sites. Somewhere like Central West Clinical School, because it doesn't have its own base hospital, we second into the Orange Base Hospital for specialty placements that can't be done locally. Some of our other clinical schools have a base hospital already there, and we're basing our campuses in the district hospitals, the smaller facilities. So, for example, our Northern Rivers campus, which is around Coffs Harbour, we're using Maxwell as the headquarters, and we'll second into Coffs if we need. For Port Macquarie region, we're using Kempsey, and we'll second into Port if we need. So our preference is to go for the smaller sites. And the government also backs this because they don't want to see us duplicating public money and setting up 2 medical schools where one already exists. So most of the other universities have set up in the bigger centres. Thank you. So just so you know about the admission process, because if you know someone, because one of the biggest problems I find rurally is a lot of school leavers are not encouraged to apply for medicine because they're told you can't possibly do it, you won't get the marks to do it. I think that's the first misconception we've got to get rid of. To get into our program, we use the UCAT, so it's a psychometric test that a lot of universities use. With the UCAT, we just then rank all the applicants that apply to us, and based on your UCAT test result, it gets you an interview. And then after that, we don't look at that result at all. So from the 900 applicants, we'll pick 150 to interview based on that result. Then we do interviews, so they're multiple mini interviews, so they're 8 interview stations, 1 interviewer each, and the students move around between everyone, so we balance out any bias. And then from that 150 that have been interviewed, we just rank them based on interview alone, and then we wait for ATARs to come out, so they're Year 12 results. So if you're from a rural background, we just need an ATAR of 91.5. So we don't care what it is as long as it's above it. If you're below it, you're out. If you're applying for a metro location, the cut-off's 95.5 because you're advantaged in terms of education. For Indigenous applicants, we have a separate process altogether. It's purely based on interview, and we have 2 of our Indigenous academics and 2 university academics that make a decision on those applicants. So we've got 10% Indigenous in each cohort, which is quite high for a medicine program.
Right.
One of our applicants from one of our years, I think the committee ummed and ahed about whether he was ready, but he's now second in the year. You know, it's exciting to see. Thanks, Janelle. Oh, should have warned you. There's a little bit of anatomy coming up.
Wow.
So.
Like their sausages.
Yeah. That's right. You're rural, you'll be right with it. So anatomy obviously is a fundamental subject that we have to teach. And a lot of other medical programs have been scaling back on their anatomy because it's costly and it's difficult. Getting donors is harder and quite expensive. But working as a clinician, I see the problems when you don't know your anatomy really, really well. And it's not just anatomy, it's not just for surgeons. You know, when you're feeling an organ, you need to know where that organ is, or listening, or sticking a tube into an orifice that it needs to go into. You need to understand the anatomy. So we've invested very heavily in anatomy. We think it's foundational. And we now have the largest collection of these anatomy specimens in Australia. And these are produced in Germany. So they're all ethically donated bodies. And they're prepared by professional prosectors. Like the quality, I want to go back and redo anatomy, because these specimens, this is real people there on the screen. You see the colour, you see the relationships, whereas the normal wet anatomy is all grey and sloppy, and it's a bad experience for students. Students faint, pass out, and they really don't like it. Whereas there's no smell, there's no slops, it's got the colour, and it's a really pleasant experience, which is different to the usual approach to anatomy. So we've got more coming. Another shipment arrives in the next 2 weeks, and then another shipment will come mid next year. But the full model, the guy there on the right, it takes 18 months to prepare that. So we're very excited. It's a huge investment we've made.
Glad you're excited.
I like my surgery. But the point is, just because you come rural,
I'll go for that tour.
just because you come rural to study with us, it doesn't mean you're going to miss out. We've had Sydney University from Dubbo come and look at our specimens, and they don't have anything like this, and they want to come and use our facilities, which I think is great. And of course, we're going to work. Maybe we will, but we'll work with it. Thank you, Janelle. We're investing in a lot of simulation gear too. So, in my mind,
Not for the faint-hearted, this presentation.
Did you see the
so not a real child. But practice on the dummy before you practice on a real person, yeah? All right.
It's a good idea.
So we're just building a sim lab at Orange at the moment. But this is just an example. You know, dealing with a paediatric trauma, which we see, is very confronting. For even experienced people, very difficult. And the more we can replicate some of the shock and anxiety-provoking experiences with a mannequin, the better prepared they are. Because we know our students, when they come out to Forbes Hospital and something like this turns up, they're going to be asked to help. And you get every pair of hands you can get. And we want our students to come with some skills to help, even at the early stages. Thanks, Tim. So this is a picture I've taken from my UNSW campus, but this is a real ambulance that we had at UNSW, and we had that to transport the mannequins around and to do roadside scenarios. So we could put the dummy on the side of the road and run a scenario. So we're going to purchase some more ambulances as well. And the problem with these mannequins is so the mannequin there that those two doctors are working on, that's a $150,000 mannequin.
Wow.
They're very expensive, and the utilisation is quite low. You know, the return on your investment is pretty poor. So we're going to have a library of mannequin bits and pieces, and we will use the ambulance to move them around our campuses, because that way we get good utilisation. And if we bring that mannequin out to Forbes Hospital, we want the staff to use it as well. As long as the students are involved, it's great. Why doesn't everyone get the opportunity to learn on a high-end machine like this? So hopefully next year we'll have that up and running. Next slide, thank you. So this is me teaching some of my UNSW medical students. So we like to get out onto the field, and my students know whenever I turn up on the field, the mannequin's not far behind me. But the point is, we work with our local communities. So I'm not sure if you can see the farmer in there, Farmer Tom. This is property out at Lake Cargelligo. That was the car that he got smashed up in, and it was harvest. He was tired, he was on a dirt road going, way too fast, and collided in the back of a semi, nearly killed himself, got brought into our hospital, kept him alive. But we keep the story, we get the students to hear his story, come and see the vehicle, and then we role play the scenario that actually happened. And we think that real connection is important. And this young farmer, we need more young farmers, is now a bit of a role model. So he comes in, come teach for us, and he's part of our teaching faculty, which I think is important.
Great.
So yeah, we're going to build a high fidelity sim lab in Orange. They're too expensive to put everywhere, but we can always bring the students into those centres and then go back out. I'll move on. Thank you. One of the new exciting projects that we're looking at is a full immersive simulator. So it's just a clever room with data projectors everywhere, but you can 360 film an operating theatre, a mine site, whatever, and you can project that around with all the noise and get the students to practice in that environment. You could put a bushfire around you and you could simulate that experience. So we're hoping to get that up and running as well next year. And we would like to invite any other health organisation, nursing students, physio students that are interested to come and use our facilities too. So we're here because we want rural students. We want more than just the rural experience. We want to embed them in rural communities for as long as possible and disrupt the movement that happens. We do intend to grow in time. I mean, it depends on the government around number of students, but we would like to grow once we get started.
You have a growing population now here.
Yeah. I mean, the health needs is not going down.
No, we're excited.
Yeah.
So does that mean you've got to increase your quotas if you're going to increase that?
Yeah, so there's another round of... so the government's going to release another 80 medical student placements to Australia-wide
Australia.
next year, and we're just preparing to apply. So all the universities are preparing to apply. They have to be rural. They have to match it 1 for 1. So if they give you one rural, you have to give up one of your metros.
Okay.
Which for us is a bit interesting because we don't have a metro, but we're trying to work out those deals with the government at the moment, the Commonwealth. But yeah, and they want end to end. So from year 1 to the end of your program, whether it's 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years, all rural. So we're kind of doing it already, but would like to get.
I'm a bit like Jenny. I'm not getting the quota bit. So there's no quotas for accountants or surveyors or metal workers or anything. It's only just for doctors.
It's for medicine. Yeah.
Why the hell is that?
It's highly protected.
Yeah.
Protected by...
The government.
Well, probably the doctors. Yeah.
Well, yes, that's right.
Oh, the doctors.
Yes.
Yeah.
The industry.
The industry.
But the industry, largely sits metro. That's the problem. Yeah. So I look at it as a whole. I mean, these are a couple of my students out on the farm, but the experience is important. I try and recruit doctors as graduate doctors. You just can't get them, and I'm competing against every other rural site to get doctors. It's really hard.
Damien, you were talking about, which always intrigues me, is I've talked to the commissioner, the lady commissioner, who I forget her name, it eludes me at the moment. You might remember, Steve. With the underemployment in the city, in order for those doctors to be able to come rural, it's another 18 months of training, isn't it, on top of what they already are. Is there any push to try and do that? Because I'm happy to steal what I need to from the city.
Yeah, I think that's the right
and
approach.
I reckon if we as a local government, we really invest in our health here, as you know, Forbes. If we could get someone that wanted to do that and come to Forbes, we'd put them up in a house. We would look after them, and just to keep building our doctors' numbers. And we've got great proceduralists here too, and that's why I always fight to keep our services, because they don't want to get bored. They want to be able to do all those procedures and things, So what can we do about attracting those underemployed doctors?
It's having a clear training pathway. So it depends where they start as to what they need to do to get to where we want them to work safely. But the pathway is not clear.
No.
And, we need to go out and say, look, you can come to us, and if you're at this level, we have supervision plans in place, and we will train you in this, this and this is the pathway. It'll take you this many years, but this is where we'll get you to. And if we can lay out that, I think that helps. Because if you're going to be a GP, there's 2 colleges, there's 4 or 5 pathways. Even the trainees get confused. I think the simpler we make it, offer a package, employ them for longer periods of time, look after their partners. I think that's the bit of gold here is the partner.
Like I grab it on. I went to the national conference up in Brisbane and spoke up there about what we've done to keep and attract our doctors.
Yeah.
And I'm of the view that I want us to be on a 2-year rotation of doctors coming out of the city, even if we were a pilot, and that we get those doctors up to be able to be general, even if they're specialists, to be generalist and come out here. And on a 2-year rotation, and if they've got HECS bills, let's do something about the HECS bills. We'll put them up. We'll house them. The state government pay them properly, which sometimes doesn't happen. There's a whole range of reasons that I think, paying locums versus GPs in the hospital system's a joke. And then the federal government clear their HECS bills or do something, And I think that is something that if we could all get together and go and lobby hard together, local government, state government and federal all working together, surely we can get that up and running.
Yep. I think there's a mindset thing too. That,
I know.
We can train people here, and that's what CSU is saying. We can train people here.
Yeah.
And we can train them in the postgrad space too. That's been lacking in all the rurals in our smaller district hospitals around New South Wales and Victoria.
Look, Forbes is a great place to train the doctors. We have registrars. I work at medical imaging manager up there. We have registrars that come every year, absolutely love it.
Yeah.
They're part of the community. They work at the local practices, but they also do stints at the hospital in ED. They also do rotations with us at medical imaging. So when you're saying anatomy, they're actually going in there and they're learning ultrasounds and they're doing CTs and they're learning anatomy there as well. I didn't know whether you thought of placing people in medical imaging when you're doing a talk, because they absolutely love that as well.
Yeah.
But most of them leave loving the place. So, and they're only here for 12 months, most of them.
Yep.
And then they go
That's
and get another batch of people.
Yeah. 12 months isn't long enough.
No.
Yeah.
It's you can tolerate 12 months,
And most of them already have, if say, they've got their partners or they're going back somewhere else. But
And that's the other thing, Damien, why I've got 2 years. I did some psychological reading about when people go to a new place or a new job. 12 months, you'll grin and bear it.
Yep.
By the time you get to 18 months, you think, I like this or I don't. So if we can get the 2-year rotation, we're going to get some retention.
I think 2 years is about right.
We will get retention. We can't go under 2 years because of that psychological attachment to where you are.
Yep.
I'm happy to work with Charles Sturt and go in hard politically, and I reckon we need to state a case on how we could deliver this, doing the postgrad stuff for these underemployed doctors in the city. I really think we've got a product to sell now that we've got Charles Sturt and you doing all the stuff you're doing. It's so exciting.
So Damien, you're in the Lachlan Health Collaborative Care Committee as well, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but anyway.
No, I know, but I just see your name there, but I don't know whether we've actually met Zoom-wise, so
Look, we're offering part academic, part clinical roles as another way to attract people. Come work for us, we make you a lecturer or whatever. And here's a job that you might want to consider.
Yeah.
Which you just tell me a town. You saw the map, we got such a big network. We've got connections everywhere.
Yeah.
I can find you a job. Come and work for us.
This is some of your underemployed.
This is.
That would be.
Yeah.
Well, council here, we actually paid for one of the GPs to do her exams.
Yeah, we did.
Here, yeah. So she's gone through and is now working at our medical centre.
And the beauty of it is her husband works for council.
Yeah.
So it was really important that we got her, training, and anyway, she's at the medical centre and it's fantastic. So, we put our money where our mouth is. We're happy to, do whatever. And we're just about to build another couple of executive homes that we will have. Really decent houses. So we're in there. I reckon we need to go together and we go to the health ministers in Canberra and say, look, this is what we want to offer. Can you pilot us at least?
Yeah.
You know, on that 2-year rotation stuff. I think if we got our heads together, James, and put a package together, and Damien, I reckon it'd be worth our trip to Canberra.
Definitely. I mean, our students start full time next year, so
Yeah.
there'll be students coming to Central West
Yeah.
Clinical School next
And
year,
we'll have someone in Torps as well.
and then it becomes real because
Yeah.
to now it's just been talk.
Yeah.
But it becomes real next year when the students are here,
Yeah.
and that's what we've kind of been waiting for.
Yeah.
But you're right; it's a multi-pronged approach. Not one
Yeah.
thing works; it's a combination of everything. But I mean, commitment from the council is very strong. I can see, which is great,
Yeah.
and we're happy to partner with the council
Yeah.
to address your workforce shortage.
Yeah, well, we have, you know, we built the medical centre. We've done so much. Like, we wouldn't have a helipad up there if we didn't build it. You know, like, we're not a begging bowl council.
Yeah.
We really go out there, and I think that might be what might get it over the line to get us a sort of a piloty thing going with you guys.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep tic-tacking, James and Damien.
I think
I think the focus on the district hospitals, like, you know, intentionally we're away from Dubbo, and
Yeah.
of course is a highlight of that other cluster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hence
Oh,
the-
it's exciting.
Just got to get people out here to have a look. I had a
Yeah.
doctor visit 2 weeks ago who just couldn't believe there was a CT machine here. They just had no idea.
Really?
Yeah, no.
no,
Because there's district hospitals and there's district
unbelievable.
hospitals.
And
No,
ours
no.
is a beauty.
I find that
But
shocking.
if you're talking to anyone, we need a new operating theatre.
No,
And
no.
Bronwyn, if you're looking at our council, Minister Bronwyn Taylor, we need a new operating theatre.
I see a lot of district hospitals, a lot of variety. But getting people to have a look is key.
Absolutely. Like, this is what we've got to offer.
Yeah, and hopefully East Locklear will join us next year. So
Okay, is there any
Lovely.
further comments or questions?
No?
thank you.
Very enlightening, thank you.
No, that's
you.
perfect. Thank you.
I want to say thank you very much. Let's put our hands together. It's great work. Thank you. And I know how busy you both are. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we'll be in touch. I'm going to have a bit of a break. I think we all need a break. So it'll be, you know, towards the end of the month or into February. That's fantastic. Thank you. Okay, now we have got a couple of people that are going to the public forum, but prior to that, John, you're going to present our financials. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Thanks, Damien. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. It's been coming for a while.
And you're being you're on camera, John. They're doing a good job of it.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks for having me. And so I'm the new John O'Malley.
Yes.
And I think I had the pleasure of doing the Forbes presentation several years ago anyway, so I probably know some of you may know me, but nice to be here. And it's very hard to come off after a very exciting topic like that to talk about financial statements and auditing, but we'll give it our best go. And I suppose I should say, has everyone seen the financial statements and the closing report? And
I think it's every second day you show us, is it? Yeah.
He's the only one that's going to get excited with your presentation.
Stephen.
Yeah,
Eugene gets very excited.
yeah, you two get excited.
Yeah, no.
No, it's all good.
Good. All right. So if we just, so this is the 6th year now, and I should say, just thanks for welcome to the council meeting, all of the councillors and the management as well. So this is the 6th year the Auditor General's now had a mandate over auditing the over local government. The 2021 financial report that the Audit Office issued to Parliament, tabled to Parliament, was, look, no real surprises there. They focused on a stronger focus on risk management and governance, no surprises. There were an increased number of ARICs, they noted. So with 110 councils out of 128 now having ARICs, which is an improvement. They also noted improvements in legislative compliance and fraud control processes. So they're all, you know, they're all positives. They did also identify cybersecurity as being, as remaining a big risk in the sector and increasingly. And Forbes has probably done some work with OLG, have you, in terms of developing your policies and things, processes? Yeah.
We've been ahead of the game.
Good on you. All right. And look, some people are going to the signals directed to the set of Essential 8 and going that hard. You know, and there's different levels you can adopt there, and there's obviously a different price tag according to, you know, how far you go in it. You know, how deep you go into protecting yourself, and then, you know, that's a function of risk appetite as well, and you know, what is at risk to the council as well. So, all right. So the next, so 22 to 25. So they've come up with an annual program of things to focus on, that the audit office is going to focus on. One, I mentioned integrity. So that's there. There was there's going to be a focus on the response to emergencies, which will be interesting to see how that goes. So they're going to, they believe they'll see how governments have responded to the emergencies and the floods and those events. Some years down the track, I think that then the focus will be more on well, how has council...
All depends on who owns the equipment there, John.
Exactly. Well, we'll get to that.
We've got a qualified report, don't you?
You do, but you just got to...
We're excited.
Just got to wait for that one. That's a biggie. That's exactly right, Steve. So look, I think there'll be something later on in terms of, well, how did local government respond to it, and, you know, what's the recovery and the impact to the actions, to your actions, I suspect, in a couple of years' time. But who knows, there might be, you know, several iterations of subsequent floods and things. We hope not, but it's a bit nebulous, but let's just see how that goes. And then obviously the cybersecurity. So looking at, you know, what are the risks, identifying those. They may be conducting a performance audit on that as well. So they've got a sort of program of performance audits they do. Look, there's a lot of detail they provide. I don't think there's anything that's really relevant to yourself, so I won't bore you with any more of that. They are going to focus on the code of conduct that the OLG released August 2020, and that's more to do with bullying and harassment, pecuniary interests, managing conflicts of interest. So that code is out there, and they'll probably go and conduct some performance audits and look at several councils and see how they're going with, in terms of their compliance, how they're implementing it, you know, the effectiveness of the complaint handling processes and things like that. So
They've got the review of the councillor misconduct framework out on public exhibition as we speak.
yep, and yeah, so brought anything to light particularly, or?
Only that they're expecting us to respond by the 3rd of February, which will need all of February for any council to be able to respond properly.
Okay.
So I'll be writing to the minister or ringing her, letting her know that needs to be extended, that time frame.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, I think so. All right, so the financial statements, a report on the actual financial statements. So next one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, just one quick question, sorry.
Sure.
The road asset maintenance, is that to do with buybacks of local roads, or is that purely just council with their road asset maintenance? Or is that a bit of both?
That's our asset management plans.
So that's just nothing to do with,
So they're going to focus that one on regional roads, lessons learnt from their last report, which was done in 2014. They had another report, I think, on 2018 road maintenance contracts. I think they're going to look at, well, they're saying that they'll look at how effectively and efficient local governments plan for and manage their road assets. You know, new maintenance programs,
that's okay, you can go forward.
rehab. It's pretty general, yeah. Okay, that's all they've given. No more detail than that. So yes, the big one now is the financial statements were well prepared and you know, they were unqualified in every respect apart from the rural fire service assets, which, you know, you're not alone. There's plenty of councils like that across New South Wales. And I suspect that noise that the councils are making isn't going to go away in a hurry.
No.
So, and I'll go on to more about the detail of that when I talk about the closing report and just the findings and comments out of that. But essentially, because you had some, you know, purportedly control is councils, and therefore, you know, accounting standards say if you control it, you must report it. The question is whether you control it or not, and that's the big issue here. And so, you know, I think, you know, if you've got an argument you do have an argument to build and present. So just I think we've just got to watch this space because it's certainly very, very controversial.
Yeah, there's 70 or 80 of us out there that are not
happy. And look, it's worth noting that some other councils haven't complied with it, but because it's not material, it's gone under the radar and hasn't come up as a qualification. So because yours is, it just has come up as a qualification. So that's just worth noting. So this year there were no new accounting standards, so that was relatively easier for people like Eugene and Stefan. The indexation of your infrastructure, property, plant, equipment assets went up by about 39 million in terms of value. And every 5 years, there's a mandated kind of class of assets that get valued. But then this year there was you need to index all of your assets now. So it was quite a comprehensive process in terms of every single asset would have to be indexed, index certain indexation rates, etc. So there's quite a lot more work involved with that, and that won't go away. Eugene, Stefan, and council, so that'll still be there. And every year from now on, it's expected there'll still be one that's required where you would get an external valuation, probably. But every year there will be an indexation there. It'll be very interesting when it comes to roads, I suspect, next year because of the impairment. It'll be very, very interesting to see how that impacts on your balance sheet.
Yeah, it's not. I suppose it's not a true indication of how we look after our roads as to what we've been through.
Yeah.
Because it's a state of emergency, our road network right across Australia, let alone New South Wales. Yeah.
So you don't want to sort of pretty it up and make it look like you're sort of asset rich with roads that are, because I suspect it'll be like I know when we come to audit we'll be really asking the question, and I'll be expecting the OLG, the audit office as well, and I'll be challenging them to say, well let's be real here. You can't say this road's in the same condition it was 12 months ago or even 24 months ago. So so anyway, that will come to pass. And then current revaluation. So you did actually go out to get water and sewer valued, and there was resulted in about a 13.6 million net increase in carrying value for those assets. Part of that was they had changed their methodologies and the costings of units of the components of the assets. Australis adopted a slightly different approach. They got more sophisticated in terms of work, the casing and the lining within pipes and trenches, and suddenly the effective lives became a lot longer, and therefore the asset was going to last longer, and therefore it's worth more. So that's sort of has contributed to why it's gone up significantly as well. And obviously there's been new work done, as well. So. All right, so if we go next to, thank you. Thanks very much. So the consolidated operating result. Look, the main thing is you've seen all the years before, but the main thing I wanted to just sort of say, the last couple of years, it's the dark blue is before the capital, revenue. So that was sort of kept dipping down, and then it sort of turned a corner and it's trajectorying back up. So that was the first thing I wanted to point out, just in terms of operationally. And then if you look at the after capital, so the last couple of years there's been significant capital contributions. that's common across a lot of the councils, and it's just really a result of the COVID and the masses of money that's been pumped into the economies, basically the economy. So that's pretty common across what you'll see across a lot of the councils. Thanks, Janelle. And look, if there's any questions, fire away as well. Yeah, so we'll go. Okay.
Save the questions to the end, so just write them down because we need to get through this.
Yeah, there'll be lots of them. Noted that, Phyllis. Thank you. Water fund. Okay, so look, the main things there. The last couple of years, because of the wet weather, people haven't used as much water. So really, the user charges but in 2020 they were 3.6 mil, whereas then the next year they dropped down by about 1.2 mil straight away. It's just a function of become a lot wetter, so people weren't using as much. That's all I wanted to say on that one. Sewer fund. Really, what the main issues there is material costs came down, I suppose, in 2021, but 22 again capital grants reduced and depreciation off the back of those revalued assets. So I mentioned before they'd gone up. Well, obviously, hand in hand with that is depreciation, so that increases expenses. Thank you. That's good. So the general fund. This year, there has been a significant increase in contributions, as I said before. There was about 4 million increase this year which was the LRCI program and other state-based programs. So that's kind of the main thing I wanted to draw out there for you. Next one, so we got income statement. Again, you can see the third one down, the operating result for the year, significant capital contribution increase, so sort of 0.8 last year to 5 this year. Rates and annual charges pretty similar. You've got your 2%, rate peg from IPART. Sewer charges up 3%, water supply up 5%. So that sort of overall has lifted that. But that's what you'd expect. Grants and contributions, that was the significant one that I told you about. There's a lot more. There have been a lot more grants and contributions this year. So you've got 75% of your financial assistance grant up front. That was contributed to about 1.7 mil there. And then other capital grants such as your netball grant, your Central West Industrial Park, that was probably your big one. Transport grants for your Mafeking Bridge and your Mount Talabung Road, those ones. And then there's about a 1.2 mil in roads to recovery as well. Yeah, so that's also cash position. Oh yeah, so cash. Look, there's not much to say there apart from, and I mentioned that to Phyllis, to Mayor, last time at the meeting, and you appropriately responded that you keep it tight, but in terms of there's no non-restricted cash there, so it's just a case of making sure that that's reconciled regularly, so that if you've got additional external that you're required to do, just back off the internal or readjust it. But it's just a process really to make sure that happens, and it probably already happens usually.
Yeah, it does.
Just reconcile that regularly to make sure you don't go over, because I've seen it before go over. That's why I raised it the other day.
It's really given us discipline with the budgetary process by having those internal restrictions.
Yeah.
And when we want to change something, it comes to full council and we discuss and we make the changes.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah, no, that's great. Asset renewals. So quite a large increase this year, 18.1 million versus 10.2 last year. But when you go in and you actually look at the financial statements, if anyone wanted to or has, your C17, you've got your asset additions there, but the bulk of it, 12.8 of that 18 is made up of capital work in progress. Now, last year it was only about 1 or 2 mil, so the big bulk of that is gone in there, so you don't necessarily see them anywhere yet because they're just in progress. That's a new change this year. They would have just gone into new assets, but they're now considered work in progress. They're not actually considered assets until they're up and going and ready to go. So that's really the main change there. And this year, most of it, went to Mount Talabung and Yarrabandi roads. water supply upgrades, and then your Central West Industrial Area, and also the Goldridge developments, and a bit on the pool as well. External debt. So look, the only point I really want to say is it's going in the right direction. So that's good. You want to keep seeing that come down. Now, in the past, we've always presented the ratios as well. There's little value, I think, in providing those, and the Audit Office doesn't now anyway, because a lot of them, just are fairly meaningless to you. Sort of the benchmarks they use aren't necessarily relevant at all. So, but you've at least been consistent on those as well. So we note those in the audit. We just don't present them here. So. That's all we've got in terms of financial statements. Closing report was just the RFS was the main thing, and then this is worth considering. So basically, so it's a non-recognition of rural firefighting equipment. Obviously, you're saying we don't control it. The Audit Office of the Rural Fire Service is saying you do.
Rural Fire Service isn't saying, it's just the government.
Yeah, but this is an interesting thing. The contract you've got, which is it's a legacy back to 2014, but a lot of them have it that you've got as well. It's interesting that it's been signed and sits here, so that's sort of evidence that they take quite significant reliance upon. But it is interesting that, and I'll just read this to you, that the Council has the ability, outside of emergency events as defined in Section 44, Rural Fire Services Act, to prevent the New South Wales Fire Service from directing the use of that equipment by either not entering into a service agreement or cancelling the existing service agreement. That was signed on 20th of June 2012. So
they've had to dig that up to try and make this look real.
It's interesting. That's right.
And that was a con job. I was here in 2012 when we did own it and we did look after everything, and we were very excited that they were taking it over. And that little technicality bit of paper.
Yeah, clause 5 in there.
Yeah, is a layer of hogwash.
Yeah. But it is interesting, and I don't know where this will go. But if you cancel that service, cancel the agreement, well, that's another one gone. So I don't know where that's going to go. But I dare say that a lot of the councils will take note of that and see whether that boosts or beefs up their
John, it's a bit shallow for the auditor to stand by that clause. It's an unconscionable clause that doesn't have the proper intent that it was meant to have, and so therefore there wouldn't be as many councils, good councils like this one, taking the stand that they are. We're not renegades. We're not reckless. We're people who are genuine with our community. We don't want to put our community at risk, and we support the Rural Fire Service to 100%. It's just one clause that has been relied on because of bloody mindedness.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right. I think it's like there's other things in there as well, but essentially they are really. That's why I'm saying if that's taken out, well, that to me that's a key thing. They've
got to have a legislation.
Hung their hat on. Yeah, the legislation, but it'll be interesting because I agree with you. I hope to agree with you. I mean, I live in this community and I don't disagree. And that's a position that the Audit Office, it's their report and they have, we can advise whatever we like to them, but at the end of the day, it's their report and they'll issue it.
Yeah.
But I think, make that, see what you can do.
Local government New South Wales, we're onto it.
So, and I know our councils are doing exactly the same. So, no, thank you. Yeah. Noted. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say.
That's great.
In terms of the audit report, so I'm happy to take questions. Or
is there any questions?
Knowing that you might want to move on.
Yes, we actually do, and thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's a pleasure.
Thank you. One of those things we have to sit through.
Yeah, that's it. But no, you've done it for another year, so that's good. Thank you. No, that's good. And just want to say thanks to Stefan and Eugene as well for their work and team. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'll keep going and leave you to it.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you. Whew, thank goodness.
That was good.
Yeah. Stephanie's the one that got excited. Okay, we're going to go to public forum now, and we'll hand over to you first, Brian, in relation to the heated pool. So if you'd like to come down to the lectern, that would be great. You got about 5 minutes.
5, I got it increased by 2, that's great.
Yeah, it's
I
really
thought I had
three,
to
but I'll give you
condense
5.
3 years into 3 minutes, but anyway, that's good.
Yeah.
My name's Brian Jones, I'm the president of the Heated Pool Committee. That's not a good job, but we're getting there. We started this heated pool business November 2019. We've sent at least 15 emails and 20 inquiries for 3 replies. The General Manager stated that the original money, $550,000, was to build a compliant disabled toilet. A tin shed will do us for another 10 years, and then the council would look at the situation. And as you can imagine, if we did that, the place would be lying in Press Street now, along with all the other tin structures. The latest plan is an absolute joke, as it's all about money. The area is not big enough to get changed. They're just toilets and a shower. And there's no 900 by 900 circulation spaces, as was drawn on all the other plans that we've had over this last 3 years. We have not held up this build once. We were finished our plan on the 18th of the 2nd, 2020. The GM and the Mayor called an outside meeting of the committee saying that the DA came back that we can no longer enter from Press Street and that the council would build a new car park out the back of the pool, which could be used by the community hall and both pools. We got to work on the new plans and changed the design, and it was finished on the 28th of the 7th, 2020. We have not changed our position on this since in the last 18 months. As I say, if you want to know the truth, come and see me. I have nearly all the change plans that have been presented to us since the 28th of the 7th, 2020. If anyone should have an excuse for delays, it should be us. A great speaker, Andrew McDonald, also Ian McCallum, both died, and Diane Decker has not been well and is in and out of hospital. Andrew was a great loss, as he had a lot of experience with council through the Golf Association. So we've ended up with speakers like me instead, yeah. But he was a terrific bloke, Andrew McDonald, and a great loss to us. But that's the position. If you want to see the plans or you want to see me, don't talk to all these other people who run around these stupid stories about what's going on. It's a bunch of lies. I don't tell lies, not fair dinkum. So as I say, it's as simple as that if you want to know what's going on. And I worked down there. I was down there. Yet people say to me, why didn't you have local labour? They put it out in the paper. It was in there for 3 weeks. They wanted a labourer leading hand. I went down, got the job. 75 years of age, they employ me. You know, that's how ridiculous. And not another person wanted the job. Same with the council. People won't work for the council. I tried to say that right at the start. We did say it at the start. By going through the council, you'll get no one to work there. You won't get any contractors, only city people, you know. And because it's council, they inflate the price. These are realities, you know. I've been in the building game since '61. So's Fatty. We've got Dave Hodder. He's been in the building game here. We've got an accountant. We've got a bloke in the ag and vet department. We've got a school teacher. You know, like a Diane Decker was running around this place here in the 80s. But I'm saying we've had a lot of good advice. We've got a good committee. There's not a bunch of grongos. And we've tried to make this thing work. But as I say, here we are 3 years on, and we've got some toilets with a space, you know, 3 metres by 4 metres. What's that doing there? If you look at a plan that we've made back in, what did I say, 28th of the 7th, 2020, you'll realise that is the best plan. It won't cost that much more money. If it does, we want to know what it is, because we can offer to put that money in. Right? We're not broke. We haven't got $1 million, but we're not broke. But we can help the council out with getting the proper toilets. And we've got disabled people. You girls from the hospital, you know how many people use that pool. We're not down there training the next Olympic champion. We're teaching kids how to swim, and we're getting people in repatriation, recuperation. You know, so it's a great asset to the community. So I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you so much, Brian. We really appreciate you coming and addressing
No
us.
trouble at all.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to have Rob Britt, and I'm not sure whether Tim or who's presenting, but Rob is going to present to us in relation to item 20.2, a planning proposal for the abattoir site, the old abattoir site. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, past, present and emerging, of course. Through Madam Mayor, I'd like to acknowledge and thank you for inviting me to present today. I have presented to many of you before, of course, as you well know, so I didn't bother bringing up another presentation because it's pretty well known what we're doing. We have a planning proposal for a rezone of the property at Lockley Estate, which you would know more colloquially as the old abattoir site. And we've been working very closely with Matt, who's been absolutely terrific in assisting us in what we're doing with his assistant, Eliza Noakes. And I just can't thank you enough for what you've done. You're just fantastic. It's been great. Likewise, General Manager Mr. Lone and, of course, Madam Mayor. And that's our working team. We have a proposal before Council at the moment, which is to rezone the northern half of the site into 2.5 acre lots. Then I want to put what we're calling the woodlands, which is an area through the middle of the site, which would be about 150 metres wide by the 750 metres east to west, so 150 metres north-south, 750 metres wide with a road going through the middle of it, and that'll be a woodlands area. And the idea is that becomes public open space, private open space, whatever you make it available for the community to use at their leisure. And then on the southern half is where you have a number of people showing great interest in putting industrial assets on there, such as warehousing, a room of services, as you well know. Aussie Biscuits have been looking at it as well, and a few other tenancies at the moment. We're looking to have significant employment on the property, and I'm talking 50, 60 new employees onto the property. And then, and obviously that excludes the construction part of the works, of course, and that's going to bring significant people from local trades that we want to employ. And our view is that we want to use local trades, we want to use local suppliers. I'm not interested in buying stuff from Woolies, I'm not interested in buying stuff from Bunnings. I want to use local suppliers and use local trades, and that's my mandate. The other mandate I have is that I don't want anything coming in or going out from site. So I want to have completely self-sustainable electricity, so solar farm which will power up all the houses. We will look to a sewer treatment plant on site where the grey water will be used to furnish the roadlands and the verges and that sort of thing. The solids will then get mixed up with other bits and pieces like food waste and green waste, windrow it, compost it, and then use that as, again, fertiliser into the public grounds. And then also the water will come predominantly from the dams, and as you may well know, I've got 12 dams on the property, which unfortunately at the moment, after what you people have been through, they're all full. Which I would like to, if I may, Madam Mayor, is I'd like to congratulate Forbes on what they've done around the community with what you've been through. I've done a lot of driving around the last sort of 48 hours, 72 hours around Forbes. I've been to Eugowra, handing out business cards to people to see if we can help people out. And typical country people say thank you very much, and that's about as far as it goes. Humble people is the way they are. But what you, as a council, have been able to do has been absolutely terrific, and it's well known. Pardon me. You've got great support from Sydney in terms of what's been going on. I've got about a 50-odd year history with Forbes, and what I've seen go on in the last sort of 6 to 9 months has been tragic in every way. But the way council's dealt with it and fixed it, and the community's just terrific. So the planning proposal I have before Mr. Teal and council is for the rezoning to go through to a gateway assessment, which is obviously New South Wales planning. And then when it comes through, we'd hope to get that through, I'm hoping, as you do, by sort of March next year. Then we'll go to the formal process of DA for the whole thing. Then we can start, consolidating these, the people that have got a really big interest in the property to come and develop it and become tenants, and which creates employment and jobs and security of tenure for people around the place. I do want to publicly offer to, which I have done to General Manager Mr. Lane and the Mayor and Matt, the property is available for anyone who wants to use it for storage of plant, equipment, stock, whatever you want to do. I'm accompanied here by Bill Loader, who's a local resident. He's my development manager, and Mr. Tim Carter, who's my chief operating officer. I'm available 24/7. If someone comes to you, one of the councillors, with a need to, they've got to get gear off lower ground because of, the floods and all that sort of stuff, the land is there. I'm not interested in any rent. I'm happy to just open the gate up and they can store stuff on the hard stand, so it's free and unencumbered. And obviously we were dry. We missed all of the floods and water. Yes, we had rain, of course, as you know, but we were dry, and it all goes down to the northern end where the dam is and goes through the culvert down into the system. But that's a genuine offer. If you can't get hold of Bill, bring me. Madam Mayor's got my details, Matt's got my details, and that's a genuine offer for. I can't take crops. I can't do that, but I'll take anyone that wants to store plant and equipment for 2 or 3 months. And if you have another inundation of flood waters, that is a genuine offer, Madam Mayor, and that property is available to you for sure.
That's fantastic.
So what I'd like to request today is the planning proposal be supported by council and then forwarded through Matt and his department through to Planning New South Wales, I think is what they call themselves these days. And I'm just seeking council support for it because I think it's a really, really good endorsement of what Forbes can do in this country. It's the educational campus, the other bits and pieces of supporting infrastructure we put around it is really going to put Forbes on the map. And I think, don't know whether I should say this politically, Madam Mayor, but I think you'll overtake Parks. So, and I think that'll be a good thing. But thank you, Madam Mayor, for inviting me along. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Thank you very much, Matt. And I tell you, councillors, I can't get enough praise and glory for this bloke and his team. They are just absolutely terrific. And I've been developing for 37 years, and I've never, ever met a council like this one. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I bought another building in town to set up a regional head office. It's where elders are, in 88 Lachlan Street. So I'm investing heavily in Forbes because I just believe it. And I'm only, the reason I've got that belief is because of the people in this room. And, I sometimes say it was a little bit rude and arrogant, but most mayors in Sydney can't even spell mayor, whereas here, Madam Mayor rings me and, on a personal mobile and says, are my staff looking after you? And Madam Mayor's on holidays. That doesn't happen, and that is just an absolute terrific attribute to the people in this room. And so thank you very much, Madam Mayor, through you, of course, to the councillors and all the staff, and I'd like to publicly acknowledge that. So thank you very much. And
thank you. And we want to acknowledge you, Rob, for having faith in Forbes.
I'm sorry, I should have asked this.
Quick question. For those who may be interested in needing to store some equipment or whatever, what's your security like on the site?
I have security guards visiting 2 or 3 times a day at random times. Okay, we are fully fenced. I have cattle on the property at the moment as well, and I have a young fella that goes there 3 or 4 times a week just to get on a motorbike and drive around and check on the cattle, check on the fencing. And as far as our local sort of hoodlums that like to visit there, we have had no interruptions apart from a couple of kids on motorbikes that were just doing trail bike riding sort of thing. So, but they weren't there to do damage. That's all ceased since you and I had that inspection out there, which was what, 6-9 months ago. Yeah. So we did the clean up on the site. We've got a presence there. People know we're there. We've got security guards visiting 2 or 3 times a night at random times. I've got a young fellow who's a local fellow who actually went through school with my son. He's out there 2 or 3 times a week just getting on a motorbike and driving around looking at things. I've got a great relationship with Aruma Services, young Mitch Brembrick, who you might know. Mitch is going out there probably 2 or 3 times a week, slashing and spraying and that sort of thing. So our presence is out there, and I think people are starting to, well, if I can call it the local hoodlums, are starting to realise that this place is now occupied.
Thanks, Rob.
Is there any accommodation out there?
At the moment, I've got 2 houses out there, which is I'm sorry.
Are they livable?
Yes, yeah, and
and they're empty.
One's empty, and I've got to tidy the second one up because
it's just a question.
No, of course. And when Madam Mayor was talking about the likes of people coming to town, like doctors and that sort of thing, I extend my invitation to you that those people can stay there or
flooding.
Well, then that's what I've put to the Mayor, Madam Mayor, is if there's people that need plant, equipment or accommodation, it's there. And I'm not interested in rents or anything like that. Obviously, I don't want them there for 50 years, if you know what I mean. But that offer is extended.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. We really appreciate it. Sorry you had to go through those presentations, but the medical one is very exciting.
Yes.
And we're pretty excited about it. So I'm glad you got to hear it.
We'll get ahead of it.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Same to you, Bill.
See you, Bill.
Merry Christmas. See Tim. See Rob. Okay, we'll go to withdrawals. See you, Rob. Starting on page 9. 10.
Can I have 5, please?
Yeah.
11. 12.
Give me 1 sec on 12.
Beg your pardon?
1 sec on 12. Yeah, could I have 15, please?
Yes. It's happened to my pen, but it's not working. 13, 14.
Yeah, could I have 19 on 13, please?
14, 15.
Yes, 31.
And
32.
just jumping back to 14, can I have 23, please?
23.
Say again?
23.
23, it's
Yeah.
Margaret.
Okay, and 31 with a 2 there. 16, 7.
30, Margaret.
It was marked on 30.
I was 23.
And
I'll take 30.
what would you like?
30.
30. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
64, please.
Bingo.
Legs 11.
Tapestry though.
22, 23, 24,
69.
69.
Where is he? Oh, go back there.
That's back on page 22.
Is that Brian?
Come on, Brian.
Right, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27,
I get 97, please.
97,
In the snack bar.
28, 29, 30.
Yeah, I'll take 30.
30 is Chris.
31, 30, over to page 34, 35, 36,
Congratulations.
37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55.
Yes, please.
What would you like? 55? Yep.
Yeah.
56,
Yes, please.
57,
The grants report.
yes. 57 that is. 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69.
Thank you. 18.10, just a question.
Councillor Willis. The next one is page 74.
Yeah, I'll take 74.
See ya.
74, 75, 76, 77, 78.
Oh, yes, I might take, which page is that? I'll take 75, that one, thanks.
Right, that takes all of that in, all of the QBR in.
To 107.
107.
I'll take 107.
Yes. The next one is 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120.
Yes, please.
121, 122, 123,
Yes,
124. They're all
Yeah.
that whole thing.
They're all
So
right,
now-
they're through there.
So we're up to 125, 26, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 133, 134, 35.
Can I just ask a question about 135? 2 questions. Short question.
The full planning proposal has been withdrawn, so we go to 148.
Yes, please.
149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69.
Yes, please.
69.
What is it again?
169.
You got yours again?
And then the next page we're up to is 174, 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, the general manager. That's it.
There. That's it. So one.
Over to our confidential
Yes.
papers, please. Page 7.
Yeah, please, Madam Mayor. Page 1.
8, 9, that's all taken out. Page 10, 11, 12, page 14, 15, 16,
Yeah. You want to
17,
Yeah. Yeah.
18, 19. I will take
yep, okay.
that report out.
Which one's that, Phyllis?
I'm
Madam Mayor?
taking out, I'm
Page 18.
taking out the.
Page 14.
The page 14.
Right.
So that's all out. Page 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 59, 60, 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 70, page 70, page 71. And that's it. Councillor Duggan.
Can we just let someone in the gallery know that that won't be coming through until unless you're waiting for that to come up in council's paper, it won't come up. Till the confidential section.
That hasn't been discussed yet.
You won't be here when it gets discussed. Just to save you a bit of time. Yeah, I think that's what you're looking for.
Oh,
Woolshed
Councillor
Road.
Duggan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, can I ask for item 5 just be passed over to the confidential section, please?
Most definitely. In relation to the ambulance station, we've got a bit of an update today. If the project will be completed, it's just a bit of a hiccup with it at the moment, but it's been moved by Councillor Duggan that you get a full briefing in the confidential section. It's seconded by Councillor Webb. I'll put it, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Councillor Coradiano.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question, I guess, with 15 and the Forbes Homemakers Centre rebuild. I'm just, why, I mean, my concern is that why are we only now going out to look for someone to build the building and so on? I know tenders you've previously sent tenders out, but how long ago was that? I'm just wondering why we weren't on the front foot with this as soon as the building was deemed, not usable. So,
Well, I'll answer a bit of this. We have had reports. I'm going to answer it. It is an insurance claim, and the insurance company had the site until it was handed back to us, and that took a considerable amount of time. We then went out, as the last report in last month's meeting, we went out to tender. We could not get anyone to tender for the job. So that gave us the ability under a section of the Act to go and find somebody that will deliver the building for us. Now I'm going to hand over to the General Manager because he can fill you in on anything else you may want to know.
just obviously, why couldn't we done some work in the background to keep things off? Because here we are now. So what stopped us from doing that? And I'm only using. Let me use something that if I had a truck in my business, burnt my truck down, wouldn't even matter where. The very next day, I would be hunting around for a truck, even though my insurance company insurance hadn't come in, so my business would stay on the road. So I'm just asking, why are we, madly scurrying around now trying to find?
With greatest of respect, there was a huge amount of work done in the background. The impediment to moving forward was the integrity of the slab.
Yeah.
Until the demolition was completed and it was all cleared away and we could get a structural engineer to come and give the decision on the slab, whether it was reusable or whether it had to come up too, it made a significant difference to what we would be calling tenders for. And remember, the replacement is all in the hands of the insurance company. It is a renewed build. It is not a build to a price. But the specification needed to be provided about whether there was a slab involved. The departure, the official departure of the original tenant meant that we had to then have a look at what other variables we would need to put into place to actually be able to accommodate tenants of different type of application, whether they wanted to have exactly the same footprint, whether or not there was going to be still the cafe section there as well. So there was a couple of other variables. I can tell you with my hand on my heart that the shed construction, that Matt's team and the project management team were ready to go as soon as they knew what the integrity of that slab had to say. Nobody was more shocked than us, and when we went to tender, we went out to the open market, that nobody was interested in the job. Simply because of the huge workload that everybody's got to try and get the job done in a short time frame.
So when you went out to tender, how many companies did you go out to tender for?
I can answer that. Through you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Karate, a good question. We actually went out to local government procurement. So they have a...
Yeah, I see that.
Yes,
that
there's a
you've
list
got to
of...
be listed with local government.
That's right. So there's a pre-qualified list of tier 1 construction companies in New South Wales. A lot of the feedback we got was that they weren't interested in doing work in Forbes. They were too busy with other projects in metro areas. So we tapped some of them on the shoulder, so to speak, and said, you opened the document up, you actually looked at the documents, was there a reason why you didn't tender? And that was the feedback that they gave us. Didn't work in regions, wasn't interested in coming into regions, couldn't do it in the time frame that we required. So I don't exactly know how many is in Tenderlink, but on that local government procurement, but there's a significant amount of major construction companies.
There's actually not that many, not as many as I assumed there would be on there, because I had a look.
Yeah.
There's not that many that's able to do that, but I know the company that you've got listed or going to have the meeting with, obviously they're on there.
Yeah.
One other query is this meeting, when's it about to, is it happened at all? Or?
The discussion with the preferred construction company.
Yeah.
So the update that I've got from them, which was as recent as 2 days ago, is that they're working on finalising the quote. So once we get that, then we can either accept it or not and move forward. So we're in the final stages of finalising, locking them in to be able to start the construction in the new year.
Is that going to fit in with our projected, outcomes for March?
They're aware of the timeframes involved. And in lieu of nobody else putting their hand up to construct it, we have to work with them. They haven't said we can't deliver it in that time, but every day that goes past is less and less time, of course.
The fact that we've had a flood, doesn't it have an impact on the finishing date as well?
On the bright side is that there is, and the General Manager alluded to this, there's no slab that would be required. If they had to put a slab down, then we'd be 2 or 3 months worse off. So once the shop drawings are completed, they fabricate the portal frame, the erection can happen quite quickly. So that's where it's really at. One of the other things too, and just for background, is we needed to get a quantity surveyor to go out and confirm that the old plans and the old materials were consistent and were going to be appropriate for the rebuild. Getting those are as rare as the proverbial, unfortunately. So it took us a little while to get that, but the insurance company asked for that. They said you can't move forward until you get that quantity surveyor's report, because that will help to inform the construction company to give you the quote.
So the designs now for the old Spotlight building, it'll be is it slightly different? The steel structural work, is it slightly different, or will it bulk to the existing footings that are there?
Generally in accordance with the same design. It will be, for all intents and purposes, other than some cosmetic changes, there'll be a ceiling in the building, there'll be some glazing.
Same height.
Yep.
And so on.
That's it, yeah. There'll be, the commitment is for the cafe to be on the side as well. And that was resolved last month, to include that, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask, sorry, thank you for that information. So, being an insurance job, so the insurance company doesn't need 3 quotes, they have to know that we've just gone out to tender and we've only got the one company.
So the premise of the, sorry.
There's 2, yeah. And the other thing is, this company we're going through, when they give us the plans and the quote, the insurance company will be happy because it's only the one company?
Yeah, so the premise with this is that it's a like replacement. Yeah. And that's the reason why the quantity surveyor's report is really important and fundamental to all of this. Any changes that we make, and there's commitments from council to make some changes for the new tenant that's going in there. In fact, for both new tenants that are going in there, there's been some changes.
Minor, but. Yeah,
improvements that have been requested. They would be above and beyond what the insurance company would provide, and that would be on council to provide those. So I guess to answer your question, the insurance company has said, we believe that to replace this building is going to cost X. So as long as the quotes come in accordance with X, there would be no issue.
Okay, Councillor Gradiana.
Thank you. Could somebody, just with 19 and the business incentive policy, just freshen me on that? What does it mean, again, the business incentive policy? What do we do to incentivise businesses to come in? Could you please elaborate?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can certainly do that for you, Councillor Karadiana. So we have an old policy that has been in place for a long time. Our former Economic Development Officer, unfortunately, she left around the time that this was being developed and moved to state government. We worked out and we understand that what was done previously as far as, you know, potential monetary benefits for a business or a new business moving to town might not necessarily cut the mustard today. Financial incentives maybe are a little bit old hat, and we need to be more forward thinking, broader with our mind, and see what other things we can offer in a policy that might ensure people or businesses come and set up in Forbes. So there's been a lot of work done to gather some evidence and some background with this. Emma, when she was here, did a lot of work on this. Some councils don't want to tell you what their competitive advantage is. Some will say, I'm not going to tell you what our business incentive policy is or how we use our advantage to attract businesses to our LGA, because you're going to compete against us. So she actually got a lot of information out of Western Australia. She engaged a lot with some Western Australian LGAs, and they provided some information. So at the time, and I completely understand this is long in the tooth, it's been going on now for not quite 12 months. But the point of the story is that we do have a body of work that when we are able to employ another economic development officer, you guys will see that policy. It will come back for adoption.
So it's nowhere near completion or...
The policy, really we're operating under the old policy. We know that there's a new policy in the wings, but it hasn't got to the point of being able to be finalised to present back to you guys yet.
Thank you.
When we get resources, we'll have that completed for you.
Can I just say that this comes up a lot, this incentive policy, and it's a moving target. Everyone has different requests and what they want to do, and you just cannot get it right. It's just...
Well, we bring it to council.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, and it should be a secret too. It shouldn't be out there.
Councillor, sorry.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, can we just have a really quick update on the pit stop site and what's happening and like a time frame, just for us to know and the public to know, please?
Yes, certainly. Through you, Madam Mayor. It's a good question, Councillor Duggan. I guess similar to some of the updates I've provided in the past, there were some sleepers on the site. And the sleepers were the potential to uncover underground fuel tanks. So for anyone that isn't aware, that site was a former service station and had fuel tanks under the ground. So as part of the investigative work for the redevelopment of the site, the tanks were discovered. It was assumed that there would be some on the forecourt, which is the current under awning area associated with the takeaway food premises. What we didn't know is there are also some out the back as well. So there's a whole bunch of tanks in the back yard of the premises. So we've been in the background working on the options for demolition and redevelopment. Again, as I've said in the past, there was a lot of asbestos that's been discovered along that facade that you can see in the awning area. So it's getting to the point where we need to make that final decision as to what the future of the site will be. No firm designs other than some conversations have really been delivered yet on what it might look like if it was demolished and redeveloped. That again will be presented back to you guys when that time comes. And I believe also that we're going to send back to you guys an options paper probably in the new year if demolition is the way that it goes.
Thank you.
Councillor Matisky.
Just with this Lyle and Associates been given information about the latest flooding or it's in hand?
Through you, Madam Mayor, another good question, Councillor Matisky. So I guess there's two parts to this and two parts to the update. One is that the flood risk management plan is on extended notification. So we want to seek the information back from the community with regards to this latest flooding event.
because that's important to then feed that back to the consultants. So that's one body of work. The other body of work is that the engineering department, through the design team, have taken levels around town, and that information, I believe, has been sent back to the consultants as well. So it's a slow process, unfortunately, because we are waiting till the new year to complete that public consultation. We want to give people, I guess, the opportunity to engage with Christmas, have a bit of time off, you know, also recover from the flood, to then provide those comments through to Lyle and Associates through that public survey. So I guess the engineering part to it has been done. They do have that information.
Just another quick question, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So the flood study's just in town.
Correct.
So I am aware that other towns do flood studies in some of their peripheral communities.
Yep.
Has that ever been discussed here, that we do flood studies on like the Jerrabong, Uther, Garema, those little areas?
Yeah, and another good question, Councillor.
There's a lot of good questions.
Yeah, that's it. Councillor Webb, and through you, Madam Mayor, ultimately it's really the domain of New South Wales State Water. So at the moment, in the rural area, they control the floodplain out there and lots of the development that goes on in the rural area. So people might apply to us for some sort of development that may have an impact on the floodplain. As part of integrated development, we then send it off to the Department of Water, and they'll review it and provide their comments back to us. So they have, we don't have the capacity, probably the finances, to go out and do the flood study in the rural area, because it's just a massive body of work. But State Water does have that capacity and does have that information.
Just one, while you're still there.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good question. The detailed design is going to go to the dam wall raising.
Yep.
What's the association there between the flood study and the dam?
So, and this might have been, actually I'm going to say it, Madam Mayor, good question, Councillor Matisky, because it's probably worth noting and understanding. I'm not sure if you were at council at the time, but when the grant was provided to embellish the flood study, what they said was, this all came back to Bathurst Street. You know, there was some agitation from council to say, give us some more money because we want to look and see if Bathurst Street the flood levels in Bathurst Street might have changed. What the department said was, we're not going to specifically fund you to look at this site, but what we will fund you to do is, because we understand that there's going to be the raising of the dam wall potentially, or that's been proposed. So we will fund you to look at what the impacts will be if the dam wall is raised. The problem for us, and it's Dr. Ian, is his name Watson, whatever his name is, the guy from State Water that comes and presents to us from time to time. He holds, I guess, the key to that question, because it's really about, of the 10 metres that they're proposing to raise it,
What
is
percentage?
it 2 metres of mitigation and 8 metres of storage, or is it 2 and 8, or is it 5 and 5? Because I can't answer that question, and no one can answer the question until you know what the mitigation, if there is any measures of mitigation in. So if it's still 5 and 5, then that may very well have an effect, a positive effect on the floodplain in Forbes. But until that's determined, until they work out what their detailed designs are and say it's enshrined in the legislation that is 5 and 5 is actually correct, we won't really be able to determine whether it has a negative, positive, no net change in the floodplain.
In one respect, I don't think so. Because when we go through an event like we've done with, or been through, where we had that one heavy fall, and then it's that gap, and then the next heavy fall, the dam was probably at maximum level or very close to maximum level. So that 120 mils that we had is probably going to come down the way to this time. Now when a dam's full, it's full, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, we've got 30% airspace or whatever. We go through another one of these events, it's going to still be the same.
The wall raised. Yeah.
Even with them, doesn't matter
That's what I'm
what size
saying.
the
It
dam
doesn't
is.
matter what size the wall is.
Thank you, mate.
Pleasure.
I'm glad that was a good question.
Okay. Councillor Willis.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just regarding the heated pool, are we able to have a time of completion on that? And maybe an update with what's happening with it since the devastating flood. And the other question was, I just need a copy. I'd like a copy of the current plan for the toilets. Thank you, for the councillors.
Richard.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, it was roughly 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did distribute the most recent copy of the plan of the toilets with the 2 in the corner, so I can send that out again if councillors would like me to do that. As for the time of completion, the practical completion of all the building itself, that's done. Everything's been signed off. I believe there were a few minor details that had to be under the defects liability, and I'm pretty sure they've been all fixed up now. Obviously, the flood has slowed us down a little bit. The Mayor, Deputy Mayor and a few staff, including I specifically invited Daniel Spear to come on with us to that meeting to just have a look at the damage that the flood may have done to it. And I think the general consensus was we can do a temporary repair just to get it open for now. The seam in the middle appears, the whole pool appears to have lifted up a little bit with the flood. So we're going to have to come up with a long-term plan to do something about that. But in the meantime, I believe we can certainly get a temporary repair of that seam.
How's it, what line it?
Well, once again, had Daniel Spear there because he had done a similar repair to the Olympic pool, and he looked at it and he said, look, this isn't as bad as what the Olympic pool was, that he believed that we could do a temporary repair, get the heated pool up and running again. I think there's still a few issues with the heaters and various other things we need to figure out yet, but I'll get some firm answers and report back.
Thank you.
Could I just a query, please? Thank you. Just the heated pool. This is a quick fix, correct?
Temporary quick fix.
Temporary. So what's the long term? Is it to line it like the current pool? Would that be?
Oh, well, that's certainly one option we'll look at. We're going to go through our insurance company to have and get a proper engineering structural assessment done of it and see if there was any more extensive damage done because of the flood. And if that's the case, we'll run that through the insurance and I guess we'll consider options then. For now, it'll just be like a narrow strip type temporary quick fix just to get it open and operating so that people can use it, and that'll buy us a bit of time to go through the insurance and look at other longer term options.
We do have a resolution on the books to receive a structural engineer's report.
Yes.
Yeah, there was some indication that we don't need a structural engineer. Have a look at it.
Could I ask again, Madam Mayor? I believe that the person that lined the main pool also give a verbal quote on lining the heated pool. Is council aware of that?
No.
I know they had been talking with it. I haven't heard any sort of quotation, but obviously they've indicated that they could do the job.
They could line it,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
I
don't think there was any figures talked about.
So
that's my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
So Gary, we're talking the heated pool.
Yeah.
So
What matters in motion we are.
yeah, exactly. So the heated swimming pool and our own swimming pool, they are run quite differently, aren't they?
Completely different.
Yes.
So what time frame have we got on this, Richard?
Yeah, that was the next question.
Well, I was going to pull that out at 20, which 120, which I've already got there, which we can make a decision on.
As soon as
that part of
possible is the
meeting.
best answer I can give you at this stage. The fencing is going back up again. Councillor Duggan and myself visited the site this morning and they appear to be pretty much.
Oh, they're ripping through it. They're doing a great job. The fences down there with the whole lot.
Yeah.
Everyone's
and yeah, look, I'll get back to councillors in coming days about when things like pumps and heaters and so on will be back online. Because clearly they will change what they play for, so I'll get some very clear answers on that.
That'd be great. Thank you. Councillor Duggan. Item 64.
Madam Mayor, through you, Templar Street. We're still waiting, but my thing just with looking at Templar Street, we're waiting on some landscaping and also garden furniture, I believe. And that pre the Christmas festival last week, I cleaned up some of the chairs, the seats and garbages in Rankin Street, because Rankin Street's part of the CBD too. And I want to know, with the furniture that's being delivered or organised for Templar Street, are we also going to be adding the chairs that are along Rankin Street, the public seating? One of them has got missing rails and the others have got that many splinters you would want to sit on them. Okay, so I'm assuming that because we've had hold-ups and we've had every excuse and things happening wrong with Templar Street, but whilst we're getting some furniture manufactured, can we have a couple of extra seats so we can at least have something in Rankin Street? Is that, or what's happening there?
Through Madam Mayor. The replacement seats are currently not in the program, but we can have a look at the funding that's available through the CBD Master Plan to see if we can fit a few extras in. So definitely is. Just an update though on Templar Street. After business closes on Saturday, the planter boxes that are going on the intersections are going in. They're currently getting their irrigation and soil put in them as we speak, and they'll be in place when the business is closed on Saturday. As for the chairs that go around, as everyone knows, the manufacturer had about 1.5 metres of water through his factory, so that slowed things down a bit, and it'll be towards the end of January we hope to have those fully completed and in place.
Now, as far as those two seats go, and I've got to agree with Councillor Duggan on this, we shouldn't be having to look for funding. They need replacing, and this is about asset management. So we don't need to look for grants. We need to adjust our budgets and make sure that we haven't got splintery seats or missing parts and that we fix them. So I think that is a really important thing. We should not be finding these things wrong with seats or the general public telling us they've got splinters in their bottoms. We should be doing this ourselves.
They'll be replaced before the event.
Yeah.
They will be replaced before
the event for the breakfast.
Elvis. David Warner's probably got some sandpaper if you want to get some.
No, but through you, Madam Mayor, just a general comment. If you walk along Lachlan Templar and Rankin Street with eyes open as a visitor to this town, around the garbages are a disgrace, and that because they empty them, but within those confines, they're full of spider webs and other rubbish. So they empty the garbage bin, but they don't empty what's left around it. And all the seats were covered in cobwebs. Now I know that we've had a flood, and I know there's other priorities, but this was the same 6 months ago. Look, I actually cleaned some of them, which I don't think is my job, but that's fine. That's because I'm in that area, and I live fairly well in Rankin Street too. So and I know that with one of them we've talked about with some another sort of department coming on that will be addressed. But Christmas time is coming, and hopefully we'll have still a reasonable amount of visitors this time too. And it is showcasing our town. There are visitors that come here and do comment on a bit of the rubbish that is left around the area. Okay, so as I say, I think 10-minute walk around, looking at it with eyes wide open, you'll see a bit more.
We've all forgot to stand up when we speak today, so I'm not sure who's got the floor between here and there. So we're going to get back to doing.
Yeah, I've got a query on,
yep.
Please, Templar Street. And we, council through line item, we pour some money into the business chamber, and then they utilise that. Is that how it works? In partnership with the business chamber to put on, the Christmas party, is that right?
Oh, a number of things.
Christmas
that money
cards.
is used for a number of things, Steve.
But is it, so it's actually done in partnership with Forbes Shire Council and the Business Chamber?
The actual Christmas festival and promotion,
Yeah.
yes, the Forbes Shire Council, one of the major sponsor of that event.
I'm just wondering, why isn't Forbes Shire Council listed as one of the partners?
It is.
Certainly is.
I just haven't seen it.
Shopping.
I recognise it because I was doing the Spruiking. I did it about 50 times.
But I didn't see it in writing, so I'm just querying that.
What do you mean, what writing? It's on all of our posters and all of our media.
It says Forbes Shire Council in partnership, or
Just, it's got the logo and everything.
just a council, like I'm, obviously I want to see bang for bucks. How many people did we look at getting into Templar Street? Does anyone have a rough estimate? Did we have some sort of metrics done where we can, we know how many people went to it?
To what, Templar Street?
Yeah.
Well, they came to Templar Street and Rankin Street for the Christmas festival. No, didn't do a head count. I was busy in my business. We had a very, not as many volunteers turned up as they said they would, which is a usual challenge that the Business Chamber has. But the general consensus back is it's probably been the largest numbers that we've had in the last 8 to 10 years. And there has been nothing negative. I'm the only one that can say some negative things about it, which was, again, the speakers not being in Rankin Street. But anyway, I'm sure that will be fixed before next year. But absolutely praise for the whole lot.
One of the best patronised Templar Street Christmas parties.
The CBD, Templar Street and Rankin Street, the whole lot. It's a Christmas celebration for the community. It's a way of the businesses getting on board to say thank you to the business, to the community for their support during the year. It's also a way of acknowledging all of our sponsors, which I have my chamber hat on at the moment, which is mainly, which is a big sponsor, is the Forbes Shire Council together with Evolution and a lot of others. Due to flooding, we probably didn't get the time frame that we want to, wave the flags for those people. We worked around it. The community supported that event. All of the market people have already booked back in for next year because we've already set down a date. All very, very happy, and the retailers are very, very happy with the takings on that day. But the best thing was just simply to see a really positive, joyful event for the community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a great event.
Okay, now we've had a big discussion. We're not going to have any more.
No more.
Because that's not what this is about. These are to ask questions, not to gather information. Councillor Matisky, you've got the floor.
With the event signage board, I was looking not at a trailer but a big screen, a flat screen that go up in the building, not a trailer, so I'd just like to get in the quotes to get a flat screen which is what, 3 metres or 2 metres, 3 metres by 2 or something to go on a building wall or something. But I wasn't thinking of the trailer.
So has everyone clearly got that? Whatever.
Yeah.
Through Madam Mayor, good statement, Councillor Matisky. I'll walk into it.
Thank you. That was hilarious. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just through you to Stefan. Can we just get an update? What's the plan on moving forward on how we're going to get these defibrillators? Do we have a time frame, and how much are they going to cost? Do we have a budget on what it is?
Madam Mayor, yes, I can respond to that. So basically what's happening now, we've obviously had the 2 floods, that's delayed us. The community and tourism team and a good part of corporate have been really busy with the recovery centre as well. What they've done now, we're actually in the process of getting clear quotes. We've also already met with one of the 2 sponsors we were discussing, and so we'd hope to have something, I guess, sometime after the new year. So we are getting quotes at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Roy Lenz.
Thank you, Lady Mayor. Just move that recommendation.
It's been moved by Councillor Roy Lenz, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Can I just add to there, I'd concur with everything you say in that report, Lady Mayor. It's just that I know that I'd like to, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the community would, congratulate you on everything that you did during that flood period of time. your energy and your knowledge, your compassion and your communication to our community was just unbelievable. It's just so inspirational, and we're very proud of you. I tell you, it's and also to our general manager, to the Forbes Council crew. This whole town is just so thankful. I never hear a bad word about what happened during the floods, and it's just quite amazing. And I've got to tell you, that doesn't normally happen. This is an exceptional time, and your guys should be commended on everything that's been happening over this last few weeks, few months, I should say.
Thanks, Councillor Royals. I'll pass it on tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, yeah. I have noted a couple of things that did come out of that. There's one of them was the base camp in another town. I'm pretty sure we're all going to work hard on that to pull that back into gear. And there's another thing we did work out. We might need to get a bit of a workshop going on what we need to put in place. We need to put a road out to the aerodrome. Or an all-weather road is what we should be putting up there. So maybe we should be looking at a bit of a workshop down the track during next year. And leave it to anybody else to work out how we're going to do that. So, but thank you very much. Just an amazing effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Roylance. And of course, it's not only Forbes Shire Council that knows that base camp was ridiculous, completely ridiculous. It's like having a Boy Scout camp. It's nonsense. All we needed was 50 people in our town on a rotational basis helping us out. We do not need to put people all in the one area. It was proven up in Northern Rivers. I had mayors and people ring me up from up there. It didn't work there and it didn't work here. We had 3 days of our council staff absolutely working so hard to get rid of the first lot of debris before that second flood come. And I'm talking, they worked very, very hard. It was a nonsense. It is something that I will be taking up, especially after the election next year. I've made it quite clear it has nothing to do with the Parks Forbes thing. We would lose a good hour and a half of those people's time every day with travel. They did it down in Deniliquin. They put one in Deniliquin for Moema, which was a 2-hour morning and 2-hour night loss of the manpower. It's a nonsense. It's an Americanised thing. They need to go and bury it where it needs to be buried. I never want to see it again. We are a community that all we need is a bit of manpower, and we all get behind those people. We are really resilient, and to have that done to us and to be left in the cold was terrible for those 3 days. Not only were we in the cold, Eugowra was too, with any help from that base camp, and so was Condobolin. So it's a nonsense, and it's one that we will be taking up. And I've had the emergency services and the police all in agreement that this did not work and never will work. We were so disassociated from those people that were trying to help us. It was terrible. The ADF were fantastic. When they got on the scene, they worked really hard. I think we need to really think about an all-weather road, a flood-free road to the airport. We also need to look at our SES headquarters, and we need to get the headquarters of the SES back here in Forbes, up on our block, and we also need to build a big shed with amenities so that if we need people to come here, and fire and rescue and RFS people, they're happy to go and sleep on stretchers, and as long as they've got showers and toilets and they're being fed. We need to start looking how we're going to plan for our emergency services into the future. So that will be something that we will talk about at one of our workshops and work out where we will go financially in order to deliver that for the community. And thank you so much, Councillor Roylance. I can't speak highly enough of Forbes Shire Council staff. Daniel Spears worked tirelessly. Now, I know him and our phones would ring late at night, early in the morning. We were constantly in contact with one another. He barely took a day off, and when he did, Michael Todd stood in for him. But his calming nature at the Emergency Operations Centre was terrific. But on top of that, our outdoor staff and indoor staff, the work that they all did was amazing. It wasn't just about all of the outdoor staff too. Our indoor staff, they were fielding questions and, you know, helping people and steering things. It was a real team effort, wasn't it, Stephen?
Truly incredible.
And of course, Steve, nothing was any trouble. I said to Steve, I need some people over at the clothing place. Can we spare anybody? Well, we got people over there to put the clothing place together, and so it was a real team effort. But I can't thank, and I can't be any prouder of our council. I was at another council this week, which will remain nameless, and they're getting blamed for everything in relation to their flood that they had. We are not getting any of that. Our people are very, very respectful and thankful for the great council that we've got. So thank you very much, Steve, for you and your team and what you've done for this community.
Yep.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against?
And just to add to that, the ADF should get a letter sent to them. They were incredible. With a motel, they said that they moved in there. 40 minutes later, they stripped the motel, had all the beds, the carpet up, the same here at the Plains when they just moved in. They were fantastic. They were a big plus for them.
Yeah. Okay then, we'll make sure that but there's quite a few letters we need to write. We'll make
The
sure.
Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles is the Minister for the Defence.
Yeah, and Richard Marles was here. He's the Defence Minister, so we will certainly convey our thanks through him.
If we have a debrief, maybe a bit of a workshop in February or something.
Yeah, and I think
Send letters
that's
all
when
over
we'll
the
start
place.
to
Yep.
think about what we do.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Webb.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation.
It's been moved by
Second
Councillor
that.
Webb. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Willis.
Just a question, if I may, to the Director of Corporate Services. We're paying to have a feasibility study of putting a Telstra tower on our Central West Industrial Precinct. Do we have to pay for Telstra to come and do all that stuff? I'm sorry, I just assumed that if they're going to make money out of it, they would do it.
Through Madam Mayor, yes, unfortunately that is the case. So obviously there's there's a bit of a black spot in that general area, and if we want to improve that and improve, I guess, connectivity at the sale yards and in the Central West Industrial Park, we need to pay to get that done.
Even if it is a known black spot, I thought there was the black spot program. So
through you, Madam Mayor, yeah, they've gone and done some tests and they do not accept that it's a black spot. Anybody who goes there obviously knows it is. So that's when the practical on the ground knowledge really, really counts. But yeah, we have to pay for it, unfortunately. So.
price figure.
Price, I think it was, yeah, here this is over 10. It was don't know if I can quote, it was around.
Thank you.
Is that the incentive policy? Sorry.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, I declare it carried. Councillor Webb.
Oh look, I think it's just a little error. But you've got fixing local roads and pothole repairs, you've got 63,000. I don't think it's going to go very far.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we actually have the comma in the wrong place. It should be one digit across. Yeah, thank you.
$6.30.
63 cents.
Actually, while I'm talking about it, so
I'll get you to move it first.
I didn't I?
Seconder.
And a second.
Sorry, I moved the.
That's okay. Put that one, yeah.
So in previous grants report, we've actually mentioned the money that we're going to go for last year's fixing roads. It's been mentioned on and off of the 6 million. So that's 6 million for the roads that we.
Through Madam Mayor, they're two separate. You're talking about two separate things here. The 6 million we were talking about, that was our estimate of what we would have for flood recovery monies from the flood, probably about 3 floods ago, I think it was. When
It was back in November of last year.
Yeah, November 2021. So that was our estimate. Obviously, the estimate that we're going to have post those 2 recent floods is going to be much higher. This pothole money is a completely separate.
Yes, that's from the. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All good.
Okay.
Could I query, could I move the motion next on page 59? I just want a little bit of an update on the hybrid car that.
Yep, most definitely. I'll just put this
Yep.
motion first.
Thank
I'll put it, all those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Okay, so councillor Gradiana.
Just move the motion on it.
59.
Second it.
Second that.
Second that. Yeah, just could
Been
somebody.
moved by councillor Gradiana, seconded by councillor Roy Lance. You've got the floor, councillor Gradiana.
Thank you. Just the hybrid car, can somebody give us a little bit of a briefing on, I guess the differences, costs, and so on, as opposed to, what we're currently purchasing?
Yep.
And is this the future for council?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I thought I'd dodge any questions on this report, but that's fine. Yes, so basically we have 2 hybrid cars coming very soon, 2 hybrid Klugers. One I believe is for our Mayor, another one I believe is for our Director of Engineering. So we have purchased a few already. Obviously, fuel consumption from memory is roughly half of the normal vehicle, but I don't want to say something that I'm not 100% sure of the facts, so what I'll do, I'll go back. The prices generally are a little bit more expensive, but not that much, but obviously there's significant savings in fuel. Whether or not that's the future of our fleet, we are doing some research into electric vehicles, but what they're talking about for areas like ours where we don't have enough this is fully electric, but we don't have enough charging sites at this point in time, that's still a few years off. That's probably one of the reasons we're spending quite a bit recently on hybrid vehicles. If you want, I'm happy to present something in a future council meeting.
No,
that
that's
gives
fine,
us
that's
a
fine.
breakdown of what vehicles are hybrid and their performance financially.
I'd just like to add that, and I'm pretty sure that Richard would be certain about this too. Most of the vehicle manufacturers are going to hybrid, and you won't be able to buy anything else. So if we don't get into it now, then we won't get our workshop people embedded into that process.
Thank you. I assume that, but it's not there.
And there's another little technicality too, councillor Crowley, you might be interested in. With fully electrified vehicles, in the award, the local government award for people that work for us and that, there's nothing there yet how we charge that, how we reimburse them and all of these kind of things. So it's a real space that needs a lot of work done in it. So that's why hybrid is suiting us, because it's generating its power as you're driving, so but we will, and we are working with local government New South Wales to work out how can we embed electric cars and the charging of them into the award, and what will that look like? Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Councillor Willis.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move that we accept that report 18.10, the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. But I'd just like to
I'll
ask,
second that.
in the new year, could interested councillors meet with the Community Relations Officer, just, so I can ask some more questions are probably out of the scope of this meeting, will take too much time, just regarding interagency meetings, etc. in terms of reference. Is that okay in the new year if we could make an appointment, those interested, with the Community Relations Officer to have explain?
We'll move this recommendation. Anytime you want to do that, you just organise it through the Director of Corporate Services.
Okay, thank you.
And he will organise for you to have.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to move it. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Councillor Roy Lance.
And what we got at?
74.
I just want to move an open council if I might. Just
Second.
thank
Been
you.
moved by Councillor Roy and seconded by Councillor Herbert that we go into open discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried.
Just at the last election, I think it took a lot longer than we ever thought it was going to take for the process to go through for the election. And I think we discussed it at that time that we could do it ourselves. But what's the cost difference between this and ourselves?
Do you want me to?
Oh, that's when I retire.
That day.
That day.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
So we're going to stick with this?
Through you, Madam Mayor, financially it'd be cheaper for them to do it, but what the General Manager is saying is correct. We would not want to do it as council staff. There is just too many risks involved.
So that's the only option we've actually got.
Yeah, this is the option to follow.
And our council staff can't do ours, they've got to go to another council and do it, and someone
Yeah.
else has got to come along.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
So no one else is
Do we
gonna be
need to
doing
be in open discussion, or will we go back into
No, I
council?
can probably go back to council and just move the
Right, it's been moved by
recommendation.
councillor Rollins, seconded by councillor Herbert. Can we go back into council? I'll put it, all those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. It's been moved by councillor Roylance, the recommendation, seconded by councillor Herbert. I'll put it, all those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried.
Thank you.
And the reason that it's here, you have to do it 2 years out from when the election is. Councillor Webb.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation as is. This is the quarterly budget review
It's
statement.
been moved by councillor Webb. Is there a seconder?
second.
Seconded by councillor Duggan.
Just a quick question. So we've already received money for prepayment of flood monies? Or is that money that we've already taken out of internals to pay ourselves to do it? Just was wondering which way we did that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, actually both. So we've already received $2.5 million as a prepayment. So that's why we're putting in a revenue budget of $2.5 million. We've obviously, that prepayment also relates, sorry, that money we've received relates to money to expenditure going forward, but also to our initial flood, I guess, you can say, flood recovery reaction. So basically when we went out and we cleaned up after the event, all of that money, all those works can be funded from this amount. So the way we do it, it sounds a bit strange, we record the revenue and then that we put that money in a restriction and then we've taken the money we've spent already out of that restriction.
So
yes,
does that
it's
mean
both.
that we've already spent 2 million of that 2.5?
The 2.5 million is strictly for roads. It was given to us. It was given to us, and it was forward given to us by the Minister for Roads, so we could get on with doing our roads. It's got nothing to do with all of the other flood recovery stuff.
The initial roads response, yeah, that's where that would have come out of.
Rightio. So we've received 2.5 million.
Yes, that's correct. As a
flood money.
treating it as a prepayment.
So the RA column,
Yeah.
what does the RA column stand
Reserve. So when we get that 2.5 million, if that can only be spent on one particular thing, as the Mayor has mentioned, we can't use it to spend it on council's day-to-day operations. So we put that in one of the restrictions that our auditor was talking about this morning.
Right.
So that's what happens there. That 2.5 million comes in, that 2.5 million gets hidden away in a little bucket that can only be used for the purpose that it was.
So according to this, we haven't spent that yet.
No, so that's one line.
And then we've got what? Sorry, I'm just trying to work out how it all works.
That's
and
one
then you've
line.
got 1.5 million that we've got here.
Yes, so we're now saying, okay, we know to date that we've spent quite a bit of money on that initial roads recovery, that initial roads response, not recovery, sorry, and that's what we're putting in as a budget. So that 1.5 million isn't the amount we've spent, these are budget adjustments. We know we've got $2.5 million in, so we put that in our budget, so we know we have to have budget for that. That 1.5 million, we spent one something on the initial road response. We're thinking, oh, okay, we know at least it's going to be 1.5, that initial response, so we'll put in a budget of 1.5. What will happen once we've captured all the information over the next month or two, we might have a figure of 10 million or 20 million, in which case we'll have a forecast budget, not for the full 20 millions, we won't spend it all in 1 year. We'll have a forecast revenue budget and a forecast expense budget as well. These aren't actuals, these are the budget adjustments,
Yes.
the adjustments we're making to the budget.
So they've come out of our internal reserves.
Yes, so that will come out of the internal
So
reserve.
when we potentially get grant funding,
Yep.
does that go back into this internal funding, or is it money that we can't use without grant funding? Can we pay Peter to pay Paul out of this?
Yes.
The initial response stuff that Stephen's talking about under the National Disaster Recovery Funding, we can claim that 100% pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
The 2.5 mil that the Mayor's referring to is a cash advance on what normally we would scope and do roadworks bidding for, which we're talking now in the tens of millions of dollars, but it's just a bit of a kickstart just to get roads open.
Get harvest going.
Get harvest going.
Just emergency.
So all of the running around, closing roads and all that emergency stuff, we through Dan Spear, he recovers it 100% pretty much straight away. And then we put in our normal bidding process, but we've got a cash advance on that already, just to get us going.
So if we go back, we go on page 116 and you've quoted regional local roads have sustained significant and widespread damage. it will take several years before the road network will be fully restored. Repairs to the network in the short term will be temporary. I agree with that. So is that time, labour, money, or all three things?
Everything.
Everything.
We get paid for all of it.
Yeah. So if we're waiting on last year's money that we haven't received,
Which has been approved.
The 6 million has been approved for last year's.
but we haven't got it, so that
Hang on, let me just tell you. We haven't used it because we flooded again.
Yeah.
So we will assess how bad it is now. It will be a full assessment now. That 6 million will come off whatever that assessment is.
Plus,
And we can't double dip, that's what we said.
No, I realise that, yeah.
The way the funding works through the National Disaster Recovery is that we go and fix whatever it is, and then every month, so every 4 weeks, we put in a claim through transport for what we've spent.
Yes.
So we have to pay for it up front, and then we claim back dollar for dollar.
So that was going to be my next question. So we can actually use, I know you don't like using internal reserves, but we can actually use some of that money.
Oh, we have to.
I know, to fix those things, and we'll get reimbursed. So if we need to use more than what we're actually putting here, we can.
With the exception of the $2.5 million, we have to get everything pre-approved, which we had done for the November flood.
Yeah.
So that is all approved, ready to go. Obviously, we can't double dip, but we now have to go and reassess everything again. But at least the government's been kind
So
enough
when
to
we
give us that
reassess next time, can a component of that be betterment or not? I know we keep asking that because when the ministers were all here, did you not hear him say, in my government there will be betterment?
Correct. Well, so there's
In
no
natural disasters, in my government there will be betterment. So I don't understand why we're here today saying we can't get betterment.
Separate funding. We're lobbying the state government and explaining to them that we need betterment. And the
There's 200 million nationally that is going to betterment. There's a smidge.
I know there's a smidge, but if we can just improve one road here and one road there.
I have trying to negotiate 17 and 21 mile.
Yeah.
We're trying desperately, to get some betterment there.
There's no betterment on the 6 million because
No.
that's old.
Yes, I realise that, but this...
On the recent event,
Yes.
there's a commitment from both federal and state that they'll be seriously looking at it.
Thank you.
And we flagged 21 and 17 mile.
Rightio.
Because we need that cemented.
Another question, if I may. So I've actually asked before, can we get some surveying and all that done on that road?
Yes.
So have we even started surveying to see what we need in the way of betterment? Because I noticed here you said that your design engineer, we don't have one. They've resigned, so do we have a surveying engineer that can do those road segments that we're talking about?
Well, we have our own surveyor, and we haven't started, but it's definitely on the list. It's been a bit floated out there lately,
Yeah.
so we couldn't do it much. But it's a high priority. Stefan, Dan Spear and myself met about 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago. We went through the list, 21 miles, top of the list. So it's a high priority one. Clearly we can't fund it ourselves.
Talk about Orange.
Sorry?
The kind of conversation you had with Orange.
Oh, yes, and I did speak to staff at Orange City Council, who I actually trained a few weeks back with my training gig, and they said that they were underemployed in their design department, which intrigued me a bit. And I said, well, how would you like to do some stuff for us? So Steve and the GM at Orange spoke or emailed each other, as did I with the director there. Haven't had much of a response yet, but I'm hoping that we can get some support there to get projects like that moving.
It's like underemployed doctors.
I was just thinking the same thing.
That's right.
See if I've got any memo there too.
You've got a lot to do.
Yeah, so it's really complicated. And the other good thing is when I came back from Josh's wedding and there's all of this debris everywhere in town and I'm watching, everyone's gone, because I had to go downstream. And our staff, I was driving around looking at them, they looked so tired. I rang up Resilience and said, what can we do? He said, get your local contractors in and we'll just send us a bill. which was absolutely fantastic for our council staff. They were exhausted, weren't they? And we were able to we lined them up, Dan lined them up, the local contractors. They went in and within a few days they had all of the debris out at the tip for our guys. So it was really, and what we've done, and they were very supportive of us getting local contractors and keeping the money within Forbes, which Ken was excellent from Resilience in that respect. So, and we get that paid straight back. So that all comes back, all those kind of things, we get the money straight back from Resilience.
On the news this morning, they've waived the helicopter charges for
Yes,
Yarra.
that was automated apparently, but anyway. There'd be some very shocked people out there getting $6,500 bills. Councillor Roylance.
Thank you, Lady Mayor. Actually, just before we go on to that section there, can I just say we had a councillor here some time ago, and I just loved him, still love him dearly actually. His name's Councillor Graham Feltner. He used to bring up water in every single council meeting, and I would sit back waiting for something to come up about water. Councillor Webb, you bring up roads every meeting. It's quite good. It's entertaining. You know what? You'll wear them down eventually. It's pretty good. Okay, item 18-13. I'll move the recommendation on that.
Been moved by Councillor Roylance, seconded by Councillor
So which one are we doing?
Page 107.
The billboard one.
Yeah, the billboard. Just a question, are we looking to do some work on the artwork? Is that what they're saying there? By the 12th, maybe January or February?
Through Madam Mayor, yes, that's correct. These are the two new proposed billboard artworks. We obviously had artwork out there for quite a while now. Not saying that it looks tired, but obviously with these kind of marketing campaigns, it's good to mix things up again. So these are the artworks prepared by council staff. If we want to get this done in January, we pretty much need council approval today. Otherwise, that will have to be pushed out by at least another month. So if you're happy with the proposed artworks, we're good to go from January. If not, it'll have to just get pushed out till about a month after the next council.
Well, I'm happy to go with all the other councillors, but why don't we invite the running riding side of things?
Okay.
It just disappears into the whole thing. You don't see it as you're travelling past. The sign is a quick hit when you see it, and that's, to me, it's always squared block riding.
Yeah.
I noticed that nobody else uses that in the marketing world. We're the only ones.
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Because I
stand
thought
up.
you're going to sit down and I'll
No, I haven't finished, but I will. I will sit down in a minute. But all I'm saying is that I don't like the running riding style. You guys can.
So you're
work
saying
on that.
that that'll read, you'll notice noise more
Wait.
than
Noise more.
green.
Yeah, noise more.
So, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, noise.
noise.
So do you want to put it a bit more in your thing to remove the running
Well,
riding?
I'm happy you guys tell me if you like it or
And
not.
have
but-
block green? Well, you can try it.
Well, we're not, but okay, I'm happy to move that we you can knock it back if you like. That we have we remove the running riding and have block riding in the and all those signs.
All right, yeah, that's, and you seconded that, are you happy to go with that,
second it.
Councillor Dunn? So can we add that bit in? Now, do you want to speak to that now that, and then I'll go and...
As someone who drives the roads a fair bit, and I do look at a lot of those signs, I see that those big marketing companies don't have any running riding in it because you lose that as you're driving past. That's a very quick hit when you see those signs. It's a big hit. The only one that I've seen that, and I saw it again this morning, is as you come out onto the highway, the Barton Highway, I think it is, going onto the Hume at Canberra, on Canberra Road. There's a huge big young sign sitting up in the, you see that. It's in beautiful block riding, but it's a long way away. So you've got time to try to take that in. These ones here, they're quick hits. You're travelling past them very quickly. So I just think you need to have the block riding in there.
Okay, is there any speakers against?
I like the first sign about the smell the roses. I agree with Councillor Roylance about the writing. With the second one, I don't like it at all. I don't think it's unique to Forbes, and the noise more stands out more than anything else. You can't. It's not saying less noise, more like when you're driving along quickly. That's what you're going to see, the big writing. I think there's probably a better picture that we could have that's more unique to our town. I just don't like that one at all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Speakers for?
No, I'm against.
Okay. Any other speakers for?
Just, we are only on the less noise, more green, is that right?
No.
More All of them. Jeez.
Councillor Duggan, you've got the floor.
Yeah, look, I agree with Councillor Roylance. I think block writing is a lot easier. Visually, you get it, and then you'll lose that noise more. That will come up less noise, more green, which I really agree with the more green. So I think that's just a simple amendment to it. I think you make signs as simple as you can. You don't want too much information on them.
And it's got,
Yeah.
Thank
so
you, Ma.
That's all.
Is it possible, I'm just going to ask a question. I can't see any reason, say for instance, I think there's some merit in what Councillor Herbert's saying, this has got no connection at all to Forbes. Is it possible we just have two of the same? One's going to be near Canberra and one's going to be out here on the Newell Highway.
That's a good point.
Like, is that a possibility? Have we got any thoughts about that in the room? I reckon this Stop and Smell the Roses, because we have roses everywhere in Forbes. That is beautiful, that sign. I'm just asking a question.
Through Madam Mayor, we're in your hands, councillors. I guess we've got two separate pictures because we're trying to target two separate markets. Obviously, the West Wyalong one is Stop and Smell the Roses. People are coming for a break, slow tourism trend. When you look at Yass, we're sort of targeting people coming out of Canberra who are hopefully wanting to get back to nature. But we're completely in your hands. These are your billboards, councillors, so you tell us what you want and we will make it work.
You're right.
No, I agree with Stephen there, unfortunately.
Can I just note that?
They're coming out of Canberra. Canberra's a green town, so I think that's a good thing for coming out of Canberra. The other sign.
You like this one that we don't?
Yeah, for coming out of Canberra.
So I agree with actually Councillor Herbert. I don't mind Stop and Smell the Roses. The other one, less noise, more green. I mean, there's nothing visual like normally when you drive past something, it's a quick fix. Like even a picture of the goanna or something where people go, oh my God, what's that? That might bring you. But I just don't understand. I don't see that picture enticing people as you're driving to Forbes. There's nothing unique about the second one. And as you say, less noise, more green. It just blends in with the environment. It just, to me, I'm happy with the first one, but the second one, not so good.
Okay, any other speakers? If not, I'm going to put the motion. Think about it, councillors, because if you don't like the second picture, we need to make sure this goes down. So, I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against?
Can I? Sorry. If you're, can I just? May I ask?
Excuse me.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Wait, which one?
You clear that I've asked the
I know what
speakers.
you've asked.
No one spoke. I'm putting the motion, and I'm going. I will need you to raise your hands because this is quite.
With or without three? No, it's just one or two.
No,
The first one is as it is.
No, we suggested to use the same on both billboards.
Yeah,
it's one of them.
Yeah, not the third
three.
one.
Yeah, you lose three. Yeah.
But use the same signage on two billboards.
Councillor Duggan and Roylance, this is your motion. If we do, we'll debate it again.
Well, I'm happy to add that to the three that we use the same billboard on both sides.
Spell the roses
which is
for
spelled
both signs.
Yes.
Can you put that in? Councillor Roylance wants that in. Councillor Duggan
second that.
is agreeing with that.
Yes.
So, is there any speakers against that motion? Because if there is, I'll get Councillor Roylance to speak to it. If there's not, we're just going to put the motion.
I'm not against it, but is that massive picture going to fit on that smaller billboard, or are they the same size? They're all the
This
same
is
size.
Vegas photo. Okay, so this is what we've got. Remove the writing text and replace with block text. Approve the amended Smell the Roses billboard for both Yass and West Wyalong sites.
Correct. That's good.
Okay. Is there any speakers against that? Do you want to speak against that, Brian, or you want to sit there and be a good boy?
Did you want it?
He likes
This is
it.
your
No,
opportunity.
Okay, we're going to put it. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? I declare that carried unanimously.
Madam Mayor, there is a slight difference in the billboard sizes, so if it doesn't work, we'll come back to you.
You've only got to make the picture fine.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't work, we'll come back.
It's not that hard. You know? Councillor Duggan.
Yes, Madam Mayor, through you, I'd like to move the recommendation. I just want to clarify something.
It's been moved by Councillor Duggan, seconded by Councillor Roylance.
We have had some information given to us and discussion on the heated swimming pool. The recommendation just says we received the report from the Director of Engineering to February. I'd like that something to be added to that initial repairs get initiated immediately, and that there is a full report with structural engineers post the short-term repair.
Right, so can you add all that in? Now, can you say that again?
Probably not.
Well, that, you mean the expansion joint?
Repairs to be initiated immediately, and the further report come to the February council meeting. You don't need to put what
that's right.
looks like. It's already there that it's going to come to February. You have
Just
to wait.
wait.
It's more about the immediate
timeline. That's correctly, and it gives us time frame.
Yes. And of course, we will get a time frame on that in February.
Can I just ask the question in that report also, the Visitors Information Centre, just a timeline we got? I know the problems we got, but anyway, the timeline if there's one available. I love that look.
Madam Mayor, I'll have to take that one on notice.
Okay, thank you.
I'll leave on councillors on that.
Can I just, on that same report? Yeah. Just Hugh Wilson Oval, I took some time out of my busy life yesterday and drove down and had a look at the toilets and so on. Great job, looks very tidy.
Did you make an appointment with yourself?
Did I have to?
Make an appointment with yourself.
Did I have to?
From now on,
I fitted it in anyway. Just the sewerage works beside it. It's a little bit concerning to me. It's the smell that's coming out of it. Is there any way we can combat that? Because it was quite smelly there yesterday, and I'm just wondering if you've got these facilities, and obviously you're going to have people there watching the cricket game. I suppose they're going to use that area. So, have we got any plans to manage that?
So you're talking about our main sewage works?
Yeah, the pumps, the pump station there that's right beside the.
Oh, the pump station.
Right beside the.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have any improvements?
Yes, there are ways of treating that. Not what we call the stink pipes or the stacks. I'm not sure if they've used one on that one. I can't remember. They obviously put the smell further up in the air, and there are several of those around town. There are other treatments that we can put into those to combat the smell bit, so we will look into it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Phyllis, do you want me to explain why we chose that location?
Yeah, that'd be good because it seems strange.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like I'm like a broken record,
Is that another good question?
And through you, Madam Mayor, the reason why that site was selected was because this was part of a CRIF grant, so Crown Land Improvement Fund grant, and it actually comes up again in some respects. Councillor Chitsky is going to ask about the old Hugh Wilson Oval block as well, because that also is on Crown land. So we could only really put it back on Crown land. The ideal spot for that is in that location, because there's only a few spots that are Crown land on Hugh Wilson Oval that doesn't form part of the actual playing surface. Where the old amenities is actually part of council freehold land, even though they were provided, I guess, back in the day by the Crown. So, long story short is, it's not the ideal spot because it impacts or it is impacted by the sewer infrastructure, but to expend the funding, we can only really put it in that location. So it probably just means that more work needs to be done to look at some of the dosing that's been done at Bundaburra Crossing, because that would really help to stop the stink from that pump station.
Yeah, that's been great.
So it might need something similar, in that location.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put the motion.
Can I just, I've had a couple of people from stage 2 of Goldridge. Can we just get an update on where we're going with that? Just a couple of people who bought blocks out there. Haven't really heard much over the last couple of months.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. there was obviously a bit of delay during all the flooding and so on, because it got very wet and our machine was being used other places. We're back into full swing out there. A lot of machinery flying around, and I haven't got an exact time as to when we'll be finished both 2A and 2B. 2A is quite advanced, but we've still got the utilities to go in there, like NBN power and gas have yet to go in there, but all the water main, sewage, stormwater curb is already done for 2A. 2B, which is the next street up, is not quite at the same stage, but we've put all the drainage in there, the water mains in there, the interallotment drainage is in there. So yeah, we're kicking along pretty good.
I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Oh, I've just got
Against?
sorry.
I declare it carried. Yes.
It's all right. Yeah. So I just had a question, just with stage 2. So are there any other delays? Like, are there any other service providers, like the installation of NBN gas, electricity, that sort of thing? Are there any delays there that might impact on people who purchase land there and are looking to get their loans and fixed interest rates?
No, not that I'm aware of. And we're going to do 2A and 2B at the same time, and we're going to do as much as we can both of those sections at the same time to take it up to that first laneway, which is called Mortlock Lane. So we've got Federation Boulevard, Condor Street as you're heading north, and then over the laneway is Mortlock. So we're going to go up to that stage and get everything finished, including all the asphalting, including the roundabout. That's at the end of stage 1 there. We'll have all of that done, and once we get to that laneway, we'll then leave it for as long as we need to. And I think the treat was, is it 80% of sales before we go to 75? Yeah, before we go to stage 3.
So I suppose it's not council's problem, but so anyone who might be looking to get a loan and fixing an interest rate wouldn't be impeded in any way or have to pay extra on there.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can help with a little bit of that, Councillor Willis. So only this week, the land surveyor has lodged with the LRS the subdivision plans. So the subdivision certificate application that's been endorsed by council to go to LRS, is Land Registry Services, the old Lands Titles Office. So whilst some of the infrastructure installations haven't been completed yet, we're relying on third parties to undertake their works. We do have approved designs, we do have the financial, like the budget provided, and the works are scheduled. So being removed from the engineering installing it, the approval body, we say we're satisfied that we can allow those lots to be created and released because we know the works are going to get done. So what that means is that in the early new year, we've asked for this to be done expeditiously of the LRS. So in hopefully by the end of January, anyone that has a block in stage 2A or 2B will be able to complete the sale if they choose to, knowing that they're going to get a block that hasn't maybe got its services installed yet, but at least they can say, I own the block of land, I'm going to go out and engage my builder or bank or whoever it might be, and they'll have their lot delivered to them in the not too distant future as far as the services go. So
Thank you.
we're trying to balance it and do it the best we can with the situation.
I understand there's no council set up as such. It's there. Yeah. Thanks.
And there's 2 more frames that have been stood this week. 2 more houses.
Okay, so I've moved that, haven't I, Janelle? That's done. Okay, we will be up. We are going to have an adjournment for everyone to grab a cup of tea. Would someone like to move
that
the
way.
adjourn
I'll second
council
it.
meeting for 5 minutes? Been moved by Councillor Royal and seconded by Councillor Willis. I'll put it, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, I declare it carried. So go and grab yourselves a cup of tea and we'll come straight back. Thank you.
Eat our money.
Okay, Councillor Willis, you've got the floor.
Just open up the page again.
Come on, Aidan.
135.
Thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director of Planning and Growth. Look, I'd just like to, or should say first, move that recommendation.
It's been moved by Councillor Willis, seconded by Councillor.
Well, I just have some questions just regarding the height restrictions on industry on page 138. I don't profess to know about all that sort of thing. I was wondering why do we have a building limit of 17 metres in all industrial areas, height of building limit of 17 metres in all industrial and business areas in the Shire, including the Central West Industrial Park and Landborough Estate. And that will obviously be reflected in this Lockley Metz proposal.
It's our DCP.
Why is that?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Lewis, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, there is. Well, I guess if you did had no controls, then ultimately.
I just want to know why that one's there.
Well, there needs to be a control. So good planning suggests that you need to have height limits on development. There can be no unregulated heights. So
an example of that is there is a 12-storey building that's halfway between Stroud and Bulladila.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
What was that?
I understand that. I understand that. I've spent most of my spare time in Cronulla, and I've seen what High Rise does in the Gold Coast. I see what High Rise does, whether it be industry or whatever.
Hang on, woo. Hop up.
Yeah,
Is this a question?
It's a question.
Because
why do we? So we have a height of building limit 17 metres in all industrial and business areas. Is there any limitation that this may restrict on the developers of the Lockley estate? And if they did propose that they may want to build a higher, building industry, could they approach the council to have that changed? Yes. Or is it being limiting their ability?
So, practical example, the height is the same height as the Bernardi's supermarket signage tower. That's about 17 metres. That's why I picked that height. So back when we first developed the LEP in 2013. Typically speaking, you wouldn't probably get much higher than that as an example for a building. Yes, it can limit stuff, but they can also do exactly the same process and say, let's do a planning proposal to say we want in the E3 section 20 metres, 25 metres. It depends ultimately as councillors, being representatives of the community, when you look across the skyline out that way, what do you want to see? You want to see the sky? Do you want to see the built form? Do you want to see the landscape behind it?
I'm not asking for concrete jungle, I was just asking to have that question answered. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello,
look, I agree. I'm happy for it to go ahead, but I just want you to explain the process a little bit more. So what we have in here is the old Avatar sites, which is zoned one thing. So we're just rezoning it.
Yep.
And then we.
They are. We have to agree to it.
Yes.
And they're rezoning.
They're rezoning it. So we're just going out to the planning proposal people to say, listen, this is what we want to do.
Yep.
Then it'll come back. Then they'll do a DA.
Yep.
I'm just thinking ahead. Yep. Then when that DA gets done, that's when all the neighbours and everyone get together and say nay or yay. So at the moment, this is just to change it from an agricultural to a, what is it, development side or what?
Basically industrial.
Industrial. So that's all we're doing here. It's got nothing to do with what they're building or what they're doing at the moment. It's just a rezoning thing.
It's setting the controls that you're exactly right. Setting the land use zoning and the controls that would allow future development that the community would be engaged on.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so it's going to go, we've got to get the gateway up first.
Yes.
And they can't get that up without us approving it with a formal council resolution. The general manager then will put that planning proposal to the Department of Planning and we will get a yes or a no on it. Or they might want to make some variations. And then if that happens, it will go back to the proponent and we'll go until we get it over the line.
So with Department of Planning, is that a long process, may I ask?
Yeah.
Sorry, are we doing 6 months, 12 months, 2 years?
It's up to them.
Depending on how rigorous the application is to Department of Planning. Sometimes they ask for further information, and sometimes that can delay the process. If all the information is there that is required, it can be as short as 4 to 6 months.
Depending on parliament.
Can I suggest we put the motion, Lady Vic?
I'll just let that.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll put it. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, I carry. And I just want to say to you, their planning proposal is very, very professional, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've done a really good job with it, so it should be okay. Okay, let's move on. Brian.
Before I move to the recommendation, is that toilet block used by Davis finished or?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Matiski, you certainly wouldn't call it at the prime of its existence. So, I mean, the reality is it's got a use somewhere, but you wouldn't probably stick it on your premier, you wouldn't put it in Victoria Park. For
No, I was just thinking, maybe a soccer field or something down there.
Yes.
Or gardens, it's not suitable.
No, well, ultimately, it's probably most suited to A, Crown land, it's got to be Crown land, but B, somewhere where the I guess the physical appearance of it doesn't detract from the surround. The garbage tip is probably a good example of where that might go.
So it just has to go from there to there.
It's been moved by
So
Councillor
it's not really far to move it.
Seconded by Councillor Roylands. I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried.
And that's where it'll live forever, I
Yeah,
think.
it'll stay there. It'll just be moved sideways.
No,
March 169.
Oh, Councillor Duggan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just in respect to the Heritage Committee request, which I think is on 8.2, that council support the Forbes Museum to the value of $50,000 for flood recovery and mitigation purposes. Can we just sort of have that put that there are other avenues for them to proceed with at the moment before they come back asking for council funds? I believe that they would be able to go through Resilience New South Wales for some sorts of remediation there.
I don't know where this motion's come from, to be honest, and I don't know how a figure could have been put on anything. We own the building, and of course, if there's any damage to the building, we certainly will claim that on our insurance. But as far as the internal, the contents, I would assume the museum would have contents insurance. So I think this needs a bit more clarification.
There was discussion.
I think Bruce Adams said they're applying for a grant for $50,000 to restore the museums, but that's only hearsay.
Madam Mayor, there was discussion about trying to flood-proof the museum with the door and some sort of barrier and to help get them back on track. But in the discussion we did discuss that there were other avenues that they could go, but the motion got put up and passed. But I agree with Councillor Duggan that, and if we've got insurance, then that should cover everything.
The won't cover the interior, but it'll cover the exterior.
So, what do you want to do, Councillor Duggan? Do you want to delete that recommendation?
Yeah, I think we just need to...
And have a discussion with the General Manager and the Mayor in relation
Yes, I think
to their
that's
flood
exactly
recovery.
it, because even this recommendation is a little bit ambiguous too, with the way that that's been
If
put
you
in.
go
So,
up further-
is it just to support a letter for them, for what they're getting, the 50,000? Do they want 50,000 direct from the Forbes Shire Council? It's sort of not quite clear.
That's not it.
No, I know, but maybe a
No.
recommendation similar to that.
Excuse me, I've got agreement, Councillor Webb, with all due respect from Councillor Duggan, that we will take it out and we will have a meeting with the museum people, the general manager and myself, to work out what their requirements are.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Yes.
I'll vote it.
We want all of that rest out.
I'm getting rid of that. With the museum representatives to further discuss what?
Their flood recovery.
Yeah.
The general manager and myself.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
And most probably, Councillor Herbert, if you'd like to attend that meeting, send it happen at the Heritage, with Councillor Herbert as well. Thanks. So we're going to put that. You're happy with that, Councillor Duggan?
Yes, thank
And
you.
I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. The top one, the number 1 needs to go.
Yeah. And 2 become 1.
And then the other part of it is the Heritage Advisory Committee, the meeting minutes of the 8th of November. And that was a variation to the minutes. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried.
179, isn't it?
Yep. I go over to you, General Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As always, a great pleasure, and especially in these times, we do have a bit to wade through there, and I will read them in their entirety to show them the due courtesy that these people have taken the time to contact Council. The family of the late Murray Scott Field, thank you so much for your kind expressions of sympathy on the sad loss of Murray. Your thoughtfulness and support has been of great comfort to us and is much appreciated. We will always cherish the memory of a true gentleman who loved his family and gave his time unselfishly to others. One life lived, many lives touched. Fiona Stevenson, thank you, Councillor Miller, for the expression of sympathy from you and the members of Council. Since coming to Forbes in 1997 as Minister for Gospel, Bill has been actively engaged in praying for the local community and very much so for Council in particular. This remained true in retirement, and in the last 2 years of pain and weakness, I am glad he is now safe in the arms of Jesus, but still I miss him very much. Jenna Lee Gunn via Facebook. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Forbes Shire Council and all the people and organisations working alongside them. The clean-up and destruction is huge, but everyone is working hard to restore our town to its original beauty. You were fantastic throughout the flood with updates and communication and have been so supportive. Huge well done. Dennis Moxie via phone. I would just like to thank Council staff member Andrew McKellar for the exemplary support he provided to the community of Pajerabong during this major flood event. Andrew returned early from his holidays to assist the community. He worked tirelessly day in, day out, looking after other people to make sure that they were prepared and okay. He patrolled the roads on a regular basis and placed appropriate signage wherever required. I cannot thank Andrew enough for his kindness and for those in need of sheer dedication to his role at Forbes Shire Council. Thank you once again, Andrew. Anne McCamish, correspondence to the Mayor. I have held back from writing until water seemed to be easing a little, thereby allowing you hopefully to breathe more easily. While Shepparton and Mooroopna have suffered in this event, it is hardly comparable to the experience of your citizens. They and you have been in my thoughts and prayers for a long time now. I know, having served as Mayor over the years, how the burden of responsibility is to maintain morale, confidence falls on you. But stay strong. You present a confident and resilient face to the nation, which is not always easy to do. Take care of yourself, and in the coming days, I hope you can find some little time for periods of calm and rest. Leanne Jones via email. Firstly, I'm writing to say thank you for doing some road work on Henry Lawson Way, 40 kilometres from Forbes, right out near the Shire border. I had wondered if you realised this piece of road was a problem and was pleasantly surprised, if not excited, to see that this had been repaired. Are you aware, however, that right next to this repair, in a spot where the road surface has been pushed up and is breaking down considerably? I know you are stretched with road repairs across the Shire, but as someone who travels the Henry Lawson Way every day to come to work in Forbes, I'd like to ask that the road gets some more love in the coming months. as it is now the detour for trucks getting to the new highway or Cowra from Forbes. I've had 2 cracked windscreens and a puncture from travelling on this road this year, and I'm running out of voice. Again, thank you for your efforts, and thank you also for communication in regards to those road closures throughout the period of flooding, as was the clear and efficient, and helped me, as many others, to navigate their way around water. Stuart Robb via email. May I please pass on my thanks to all council staff for their mammoth effort over the last week in getting our town back on its feet again. Leslie Teal via phone. Phone to thank council so very, very much for filling the significant potholes and making road repairs on Sandhills Road. This has made such a difference to make the road serviceable, and she is just so grateful. Kristen's Dance Studio. We truly appreciate the generosity and support of our local community and council at a very difficult time. Our students and teachers have been working hard to put together this production and celebrate the end of the year dance. This would not have been possible without council accommodating our dance classes at the town hall. Thank you. Give it recipient via email. Thanks so much again to you, Rebecca Kennedy. It has been a really pleasant experience during a time of stress and heartache, which for many who are worse off than we are, can make the difference between their plight being unbearable to bearable. Please pass on my appreciation to your team as well. The Honourable Margaret Beasley, there's a correspondence involved here in this document, which is a really, really lovely letter to the Mayor and myself. Road closures feedback received by council staff. I just had a discussion with a man at the Recovery Centre who works for New South Wales Farmers, and he wanted me to pass on how much he appreciated the road closure map and the comms we are putting out regarding the roads. He said it was by far the best in region and has been relying on it a lot for work. He said that New South Wales Farmers are pushing a lot for the combined council Transport for New South Wales system, but he saw Forbes as the best example around for how to manage the road closure information. He asked that I convey his gratitude to everyone working on it. And I have to agree that during the EOC, we had lots of comments about that map.
They were great, those maps.
Cancer Care Western New South Wales. Once again, there's correspondence attached here, as there is from Lachlan Shire Council as well. Barbara Foster via email. How lucky was I to choose Forbes in which to live? A great introduction was to join the council-supported Tai Chi class. Not only did I have 20 instant and ongoing friends, but also a chance to advance my skills. I've lived in many places, but have never come across such a comprehensive Tai Chi class such as this, and this one will not, but 2 talented instructors. Tai Chi is a great way to improve strength and balance, and a world recognised method of preventing falls, injuries. We are all looking forward to continuing to learn our new form next year. Thanks, Forbes Council. Troy Howe via phone. Troy phoned to express his sincere thanks on behalf of Forbes Finn Swimming Club to Mark Willis and Dave Stibbard. The work that these 2 council workers and their team, dedicated outdoors helpers, has seen the Forbes Olympic swimming pool open just a handful of days after the floodwaters receded. Their dedication and persistence to clean up has made the kids in Finn's Club so happy, along with other regular users of the pool. Having seen the flood damage firsthand, it would have been considered only a marginal chance that the pool would be operational prior to Christmas. In this regard, their efforts are nothing short of miraculous. And finally, number 17, Chris Sweeney via phone. I would like to congratulate Forbes Shire Council on the excellent way they've been able to get their town cleaned up and make repairs needed to get roads open. I travel through a lot of councils, and compared to our neighbours, Forbes is outstanding. Well done, Forbes Shire Council.
Happy to move that.
Yes, moved by Councillor Royland, seconded by Councillor Willis. I'll put it, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, I declare it carried.
And can I just say that with Kristen's Dance Studio, they were the biggest attraction there on the Christmas Carnival. Templar and Rankin Street were chock-block full of people. Kids all dressed up, and it was unbelievable. I hope we've got a video somewhere of that, but it's just huge.
I don't think you're allowed to video that.
No, probably not.
Your wife could.
Yeah, right.
There's lots of pictures.
Grandmothers can. Grandfathers can't. They're right.
And nobody can,
Thank you.
actually.
Can we ask a question now out of, just, can you give us a little bit of an update, Madam Mayor, with the Falls Fin, the clubhouse and where that meeting has ended up and the Falls Aquatic Club? The sharing of the clubhouse?
Yeah, that's all going ahead. General manager's doing that. That's been negotiated and that's been done.
It's in Matt's control, so I've left it to Matt.
Yeah.
It's pretty much divided down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it being shared and is everything progressing?
It is. So yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Coradiana, the resolution basically was just before the floods. So we requested that the Amateur Swim Club move some of their stored gear out of a section of the clubhouse, and basically we had some meetings with them to say it's on Crown land. It is an installation of the Crown now. We are the Crown land managers, or you guys are the Crown land managers. We have to make it work for all the parties that are interested in using the space. They were quite accepting of that, so they moved out of a portion. So what we were going to do, pre-flood of course, was cage off 2 bays. So within the shed itself there's 4 bays. There's going to be 2 common bays in the middle which had the kitchenette and the
So that'll be completely shared, the middle section?
Yeah, and then the 2 end parts were going to be their own exclusive lock-up cage sections. They could store their own gear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, then we had the flood, and as you probably all seen, it ripped the side wall out of the clubhouse. So, again, what Troy is speaking about here is the mammoth effort that Dave and Mark have both done in trying to restore the complete pool. I'm not too sure if the clubhouse is back to full function at this point in time, but when it does, both clubs are aware that we're going back to that same arrangement. So they'll both get their own space and they'll share a section in the middle.
Will that then mean that the container that they've been using, Forbes fins, will be removed off site?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. That's well done, thank you.
The flood tried to move it, didn't it?
It was very hard.
The flood moved it in the first instance, and then Billy Knights anchored it down with some 200-ton tie downs, and it didn't move an inch in the second flood. But it'll be removed.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions without notice? Part 1.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just a question to the most appropriate person. I'm not sure who it was that was responsible for Clean Up Australia Day last year. I know that Matt ended up doing because that person was on leave and has since left. Is there anyone sort of going to be involved in Clean Up Australia Day on the Sunday the 5th of March next year? Do we know? And can we help in some way?
I'll be the nominated appropriate person.
Okay, all
for
right.
you,
Well,
Madam Mayor.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it is.
You've been 30 years, haven't you?
Well,
No,
for
it
a
wasn't
long
last
time.
year.
But Councillor Willis, we are going to be going out for recruitment for a waste and environment specialist. At the moment, we're contracting one of our previous guys back for a couple of days every couple of weeks just to keep the wolves from the door. Haral Patel was the gentleman that did it last time, and he did it quite successfully. So any councillors that want to be involved, and a number of you guys have in the past come along to Clean Up Australia Day, you're more than welcome to come along. We will run it again, and it is always the first Sunday in March. So we will be putting it back out to the community, I'd say in the early new year. And
Beautiful.
hopefully we have a person permanently in that position in the not too distant future.
Thank you.
Councillor Webb.
I'm not quite sure whether it's called business without notice. So we're talking about our shower maps during the floods. I thought ours was brilliant. Looked at a few others and everyone's different. Like you look at ours and we've got the names of the roads, and quite often we'll show it going all the way to Condo and all the way to parks and that. And then you get other shires which name them by their numbers or their highways or whatever, their regional road number. And they only do their part of their shire, which is very hard to know how that connects elsewhere. So it was a huge issue. But live traffic, can I say it has caused so many near accidents and so many people going through dangerous roads. And I know that we can't do anything about it because it's state roads, but people believe that live traffic, and we saw so many people going on these little back roads, being bogged or trying to reverse with a caravan 3 kilometres, all this sort of stuff. So
is it live traffic or is it their maps?
No, it's live traffic because it only shows certain roads closed, not everything. So people believe that they see, and they go through all these dangerous roads because they don't go and look at the Shire maps at all. So, is there some way that we can investigate or try and improve it so that it actually encompasses all roads? I know it's very difficult, but seriously, the amount of vehicles out there that were driving on dangerous roads because they were going purely on live traffic. And you've probably heard a few as well.
Lots.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So what
But
can
look,
we
yeah,
as a council do about it?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Transport for New South Wales has come up with a new system which they haven't actually rolled out yet, called One Road. Now, it doesn't replace live traffic, but it will be issued to all the councils across New South Wales who we can then put in all their road closures or road works, or if there's any events that close roads, so Anzac Day, that sort of thing. We can put all of those on there and it will then feed into live traffic. Now, originally I sat through a session on how this was going to be rolled out, and I mentioned to them the problems that we were having with Google Maps.
Yes.
Which we seem to have done a pretty good job resolving.
Live traffic's another thing.
Yeah, Daniel Spear, initially I worked it out with the Mayor's help, putting information through the feedback system of Google Maps that actually showed closed roads. And I showed Dan Spear, and he developed it a bit further, and you can close whole lengths of roads in Google Maps and so on. But when I sat through this session, originally I said, a lot of people use Google Maps for their navigation and don't look at live traffic. Is live traffic going to talk to Google Maps? And originally they said no, but I've heard recently that they are going to talk to each other. So hopefully, sometime in the next 12 months or so, that Transport will get all that rolled out and everyone will start talking to each other.
Because but all the notices out there say go to live traffic, but it's all incorrect.
What happened with live traffic, we've made a lot of representation. We begged that every council, per road authority, much bigger than what live traffic is for the state, that we would be able to access live traffic. They've never allowed us. So the new system that's coming out is going to be something that we're going to be allowed to use. They've realised it's not working, Jen, you're quite right. But I think you will see some improvements. It's been a long road, and whoever started that live traffic, they were very pedantic about not sharing anything and not allowing anyone else to have anything to do with putting anything on the site. So it's been a bit of a dog's breakfast.
I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but I'll just give it one more go, see if anyone's listening. Don't use Google Maps, use Apple Maps. Completely different. They're up to date. Everyone listening out there?
I haven't heard you say that before.
Yep.
I haven't heard him say that either.
Well, you weren't listening.
Well, anyway, we're hearing it now.
So, as far as council is concerned, there's nothing we can do
Until the new system
on a
comes.
representation to say how we think live traffic.
I'm happy to write a letter and tell them it's rotten.
Oh, seriously?
At every event we go to, we petition for a single point of truth.
Yeah. Every meeting we have with them, we ask for that.
It's like they don't listen.
I mean, that lady that got lost, out away, she would have been using live traffic. And then you go to detour and after detour, and that's
We're not sure whether
I'm just
they're
saying,
using live traffic or they're using their Google Maps.
Google Maps.
What do you think? Spot on, up to date.
Where I'm from, Northern New South Wales, there's a system called My Road Info. It actually worked really, really well, and I think this One Road system will be very similar to that. And all the councils in that area, it was developed by the Northern Rivers JO, and it was reliable. It really worked very, very well, and everyone knew to use it, and it actually fed information to live traffic as well. So they really had it figured out. So hopefully this new One Road will be very similar to that.
Thank you.
And hopefully prevent.
Okay, now you were all given. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
With the driver revolver van, are we going to be using it over at Lions Park, and have we got anyone that's interested in operating?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Matiski, we have now received the driver revival van. It is in our depot. There is a current proposal on the table for it to be deployed as a temporary solution to a local business that hasn't been able to open again,
A not-for-profit business.
Yeah, exactly, a food not-for-profit business. You'll probably work out which one I'm talking about.
No.
And so we need to have them inspected, which we're trying to coordinate at the moment. I would have done that earlier in the week, except I was off with COVID. The idea is it will delay our driver reviver commencement. It's probably quite timely given that the highway is closed through Forbes in any case and the detour is on.
We've got a solution. I'm just going to butt in.
Okay.
The people that are going to hopefully use ours, they've got a smaller one that does coffee and tea and everything, and we will use theirs. I've spoken to...
That's symbiotic.
So that's what we will be doing. It'll be a bit of a swap over, let them get themselves back on track, and then we will use theirs for ours, for what we have to do, so we don't have to move it for them, that they can continue.
So,
and I've only just got that in the last couple of days. I was talking to them, and they've said that they're happy to do that. They've got a good solution. Yeah.
There'll be something operational over Christmas.
Yes, we'll get something. Although I think they're having a break. They're having a break from Christmas until after the New Year. I'm pretty sure they say that? They did, didn't
I thought they were coming back on like the 2nd or 3rd January.
Yeah. Any other thing? If not, I want you to read the letter from the presidents. We've had a meeting with them. They are interested in having some longevity and long-term negotiations with council so that we can determine how we support them in running that function. All I want from you is the okay for the General Manager and I to go and negotiate some terms, and we're going to try and know what we're doing. Was it 5 years in advance that we're trying to do a 5-year plan in advance, and I just want you to know, or give us your blessing that we go and negotiate that and we bring it back to you, whatever we negotiate.
Yeah.
So it'll come back to council.
There's no decision.
It's really important that we do this. As you know, there's some indication we've got money there to do a concept plan for the renewal of that clubhouse and make it all spot on. So if we can get a 5-year commitment from us and them, we can start to hopefully get some of those funds that will make those big changes to that building and that down there. So,
I'll move it.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Herbert that the General Manager and I negotiate with the President's Lunch Committee, Union,
February meeting?
and the Rugby Union Club. Yeah, what?
So they're wanting to use the events team
On a cost.
on a pay
A fee for service.
Fee for service.
service basis.
And we've got to work that out. It's resource hungry.
That's why we need to negotiate, because there is, lots to talk about.
And we've also got our other council events that they need to be working on with the women's and local governments.
Yeah, we're fine with all that. This is not about that. This is just about the President's Lunch. One thing a year that we will negotiate with them on what we can or can't do.
That's right.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Mayor, I think just to be stated that when I wear a different hat being involved with events, it's not just council, they don't just give it. We're like with chamber events, we're charged out and we pay it, or it's done on a sponsorship basis. So it's not just, because obviously we've got to be very mindful of that events team. They get really overworked. They're a fantastic group of people to work with. But I think in the whole big picture of not just one events, but all of these events, I think we need over the next 12 months to do a real reassessment of what things are worthwhile, where we're getting bang for buck, and other things that I think we've got to go back to a bit of community ownership too, just to keep that in mind.
One thing for me, full disclosure, I'm on the President's Lunch Committee, so just so you're aware of that. But the, I guess the intent behind this is that often when they employ event managers, they get one for 12 months, and then that event manager goes out the door because they've got something else on. So all that intellectual property, all that pre-planning, all that information, goes with them.
Yeah.
So what this is about is trying to ensure that the event remains viable. The information is stored in a publicly accessible place for the community, for the organisation, for the betterment of the program or the event into the future. So it's not reliant on an event organiser that might say, well, I've done my bit and I'm going now, and it all kind of falls over.
Yeah, and that don't happen.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Is there any other business in part one? What we might do while we're here, so we can get away from here sometime tonight, is would someone like to move a machinery motion for the items that were moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Councillor Duggan. I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried. Would someone like to move that we go into the committee of the whole into our confidential section? Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Duggan, and we'll exclude the press and the public. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Against, I declare it carried.